Red Koala.
A teenage boy is dead after a car rollover near Border Town last night. It happened on Senior Road. The 17-year-old died at the scene. His death is the 74th life lost on our roads compared to 46 a year ago. A food dehydrator found at a Victorian tip is being examined as part of the investigation into the poisonous mushroom-related deaths of 3 people. Another man remains in a critical condition awaiting a liver transplant after also consuming the home-cooked meal. Meantime, it's been revealed the former husband of the woman who hosted the lunch nearly died last year after he collapsed with a mystery gut illness. A national plan could be rolled out to strengthen the rights of renters. The Prime Minister will seek a deal between state and federal Labor leaders at next week's National Cabinet meeting. They'll aim to develop a set of uniform principles to protect tenants, but it'll be up to each state and territory to decide how those rules would be applied. Aboriginal land councils and other Indigenous bodies could be the subject of a parliamentary inquiry in the lead-up to the Voice referendum. The Shadow Indigenous Affairs Minister will today refer Indigenous organisations which receive federal funding to the Finance and Public Administration References Committee to determine how the funds are used. Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price says it'll be crucial to mapping out how the Voice will be funded if the referendum's successful.
They suggest that the Voice is something that we've never done before, like we've never created a very expensive bureaucracy before to deal with Indigenous issues. That's nonsense. We have. The only difference with this proposal is actually putting it in the Constitution.
A federal independent senator's calling for Australian musicians to be given a fair go. David Pocock will table a bill in Parliament today in a bid to remove the 1% cap on the amount of money an artist can earn from having their song played on commercial radio. Senator Pocock says songwriters and composers aren't limited by the cap, and it's not fair for recording artists to have their earnings restricted.
We should be really proud of Australian music and ensure that we are treating them with respect and allowing them to negotiate just like every other profession is able to negotiate.
And thousands of people have gathered in Ireland to bid farewell to musician Sinead O'Connor. Her funeral procession passed large crowds along the seafront in the town of Bray, where she lived for 15 years as it made its way to a private service. She died last month in London at the age of 56. Australia's top marine science agency is warning the Great Barrier Reef is again at risk of severe damage this summer. Emily Minnie reports.
Despite finding hardcover coral has grown back after 4 mass bleaching events since 2016, the Australian Institute of Marine Science is sounding the alarm. The coming summer is forecast to be hot and dry, raising the risk of bleaching caused by marine heatwaves, which can kill coral and leads to biodiversity losses. Bleaching occurs when sea surface temperatures are too hot for an extended period of time, causing the organisms to expel algae from their tissues and turn translucent. The Weather Bureau is yet to declare an El Niño weather event, typically associated with warmer sea temperatures, but warn one could develop as we approach the warmer months.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
And Tom ran a big World Cup match in Adelaide last night.
It was massive, wasn't it? And it's got big ramifications moving forward too, Kendall, and that's because it means they're going to be playing against the Matildas. France destroying Morocco 4-0 here in Adelaide. The North Africans' World Cup dream has come to an end in tough fashion. They were down 3-0 inside the opening 23 minutes and had just one shot at goal with 25% possession. France wrapping things up with their 4th goal midway through the second half, as heard on Optus Sport.
Manages to get the cross in. It's a great ball for Le Sommer. What a cross from Vicky Béchot. And Eugénie Le Sommer just puts the punctuation mark.
Yeah, France will now come up against the Aussies on Saturday in Brisbane. And there was one other match on last night, with Colombia also moving through to the quarterfinals of the tournament. That's after a 1-0 win against Jamaica. Let's go to footy, and doubt continues to surround the availability of Charlie Dixon for this Sunday's home clash against GWS at Adelaide Oval. The power forward's had a second scan on his troublesome foot and is hopeful it's not serious. West Coast captain Luke Shuey, meantime, says he'd like to move into coaching after announcing his retirement. The 33-year-old's played 247 games for his club after being drafted in 2008. The midfielder says he's always enjoyed helping players grow and improve.
The development side of things at the moment, something that really tickles my fancy, working with the young boys who come in so fresh. Their heads aren't clouded with all the junk that probably clouds your head by the end of your career, and they're a joy to work with, and I'd love to have a part in that over the next few years.
North Melbourne's Ben Cunnington has also announced his retirement after this weekend's match against Essendon. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing, a high of 20 today, a shower or two tomorrow, down to 15, cloudy on Friday, also 15, and showers returning on Saturday, 16. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Maxima, offering employment and disability support services. Break down the barriers of NDIS. Go to maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, being a Wednesday, we'll go around the courts with Sean Fuster, the host of, the former host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, will join us. About 5 years from now, I'll get that one right. We'll get an update from Greg Jenkins on the situation involving the investigation into the death of his mother in Malaysia. Legal action now is being launched against Malaysian authorities for the dereliction of duty, essentially. We'll get the details from him a little bit later in the morning. And also looking forward to chatting with Nick Hayes, who's the managing director and founder of Media Stable, an expert in all things advertising, the value of advertising, the cost. What does it mean when suddenly an event like the Women's World Cup featuring the Matildas happens, and you can say, well, now you've had essentially an AFL Grand Final on a Monday night, and you've got one that's probably going to be even bigger coming up on the Saturday. What does advertising look like if they made it to, say, a semi-final or a final? We'll talk about all that after 7 o'clock today. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. A crowd of about 13,700 from memory last night watched the game from Hindmarsh Stadium between France and plucky, but in the end, overawed Morocco. Their first ever outing in a World Cup, and it was one of those games in soccer. It was all over by the 15-minute mark, pretty much. You could tell France were just, it was like a training drill.
Ominous.
Yeah. Oh, well, ominous or potentially deceptive for the French, because it was hardly a big test for them, was it? The North African derby there, one of the countries that, along with Spain, they helped colonise. But it was just a cakewalk for the French. So they don't exactly, go into the match against Australia on Saturday on their, at their most vigilant. They could have played their third-tier side and still beaten Morocco, you think, last night. But I don't know, I was looking at Hindmarsh Stadium. Does it need to be... I love it. It was superb going there the other day, because I hadn't actually been since I was a kid. Never been to a Reds game. I'm going to make amends for that this year. But I think if Adelaide is now, it's a medium-sized world city, and we do need a proper soccer stadium, don't we?
But this is a matter of perspective, and this is what we don't get as Australians. You go to Europe, Hindmarsh Stadium is a proper-sized soccer stadium.
Well, that's true. I mean, you look at some of the sides in the EPL. Like, what's that side that's been promoted?
Luton Town, where they're a Premier League side. To get into the away supporters' stand, you have to go through someone's house.
Through their backyard, don't you?
Yeah. It's built through their house, which is a quaintly English thing, obviously, because everything's been built and packed so tightly together. But we have this view as Australians. The MCG, and you need Adelaide Oval needs 60,000, and the new. But if you go to the Netherlands, say, let's not talk about the biggest top flight leagues. Let's talk about countries though where this is the number one sport. They have these sorts of boutique stadiums dotted everywhere.
Yeah.
So, look, I'd love it to be bigger.
Well, actually,
I'd love there to be need for it to be bigger.
Sam Daddo just told us the Luton home ground holds 10,300.
So how much is bigger than a Premier League?
Well, because one of the it was Hitaf from events.
Hitaf Rashid.
Hitaf Rashid. I was talking to her at the South Korea game, And she was saying that normally High Marsh holds 13,000, but in what's called FIFA mode, it holds 11. So they take out about 2,000 seats because there's certain things that FIFA insists upon. One is the huge expanse of space. You can see it at the ground. It's all blacked out in light blue. That's for the travelling media. So there's a gigantic media zone. Then they have a hospitality zone for all the FIFA hoi polloi.
They block out seats behind the dugouts because a lot of people you see it on social media, people saying, aren't these meant to be sold out? Look at all these seats. This is a rort. There's some kind of shenanigans going on. But no, they have a rule about how much space there has to be between the crowd and the people in the dugouts. So those seats are always empty.
Yeah, right. It's amazing. So you reckon we don't actually need it if we're
not at the moment. I mean, I'd love to. I go there a lot. I'd love to be able to say that, gee whiz, we're not satiating the demand. There's a lot of people that can't get to go, but everyone gets to go.
Do Reds games sell out?
Sometimes, but not often. It'll be a handful of times a season. Probably it would have to Friday night game against Melbourne Victory.
Yeah, Melbourne game on the cusp of finals.
If a Sydney side's going really well, maybe Melbourne City. Certainly Victory games, you can get a sellout if it's a Friday night, but the rest of the time you're getting 9,000, 8,000, something like that.
I'm so old, mate. My memories of going to High Marsh involve going there in probably 1977 and 8 when I was in grade 1 and grade 2 with one of my little best friends from early primary school was a guy called Robert Fabian, and his dad, Italian migrant, absolutely crazy for Juventus. And we'd always go to the Juventus-Hellas derby back when it was...
Yeah, really meant something.
Oh, it was like you were in Europe. It was unreal. I used to love going to those games. I wonder if any of our listeners have got memories of going to the Hellas-Juventus matches.
I bet they do. 8223 0000 is the number you can text us to on the Dutton's text line, 0448 08 1395, or jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream to have your say. We're going to take a quick break and come back with news headlines next.
With IGA's Community Give Back sale, you can make big savings.
And help support local causes.
Just look for tickets on specials, like Cadbury Chocolate Block 160 to 190 gram selected varieties, $2.75 each, half price. Now at your local IGA. Offer ends August 15 while stocks last. Excludes Foodland.
If you thought it was tricky to source a great deal on a new Volkswagen, think again. Mawson Lake's Volkswagen's demo clearance is on now. We've loaded up on a massive range of demo Volkswagens available for delivery right now. Loads of colours, loads of options, plus on-site finance options available. And remember, we offer next-day servicing too. So hurry, the Volkswagen demo clearance won't last. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
I say thing of beauty, David. You say...
Puritap. I always say Puritap when you say thing of beauty. This is important, Will. Not only is Puritap a thing of beauty, there's a practical side to a Puritap, namely keeping hydrated.
Well, that's right. These can be hot and dry times we live in.
That's right. Dry state and the driest continent and all that. Keeping hydrated, though, it's a lot easier when you've got a Puritap.
And a Puritap from only $49, well, that is a thing of beauty too.
That's right. I got one years ago, and I reckon it was about the same price. They always keep the prices down at Puritap. Get a Puritap from only $49. It includes the designer tap, installation and filters for 2 years on a great payment plan.
And whilst it's not exactly hot at the moment, it will be. And hot times call for hot deals.
That's right. And it's a crime against water not to take advantage of this.
Exactly right. Call now and get hydrated.
Get a Puritap from only $49 up front. Call Puritap on 133 502 or go to puritap.com.au. T's and C's apply.
To celebrate 70 years in solar, Solar Heart is giving you the chance to win a Tesla Model 3 electric vehicle worth up to $70,000. Simply buy a Solar Heart solar power system, Solar Heart water heater, heat pump or home battery and ends for your chance to win. Get smart. Get Solar Heart. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solarheart.com.au for details. Open to AU residents 18+. Ends 30th of September 2023. SA permit T23/871.
If it pops, or if it twists, you'll find it at FIVEAA. If it comes in a can, or is best in a glass, you'll find it at FIVEAA. If you serve it on the rocks, or with a paper umbrella. In fact, whether it's wine, beer or spirits, whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEAA. FIVEAA, your local independent SA family liquor stores.
Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 after 6, news headlines time on this Wednesday, the 9th of August. A teenager has died following a fatal crash near Bordertown last night. His car rolled on Senior Road. The 17-year-old boy from Senior died at the scene. Major crash investigators are making their way from Adelaide to examine the circumstances of his death, it being the 74th life lost on SA roads compared to 46 at the same time last year.
That's just staggering, isn't it? About 30 more.
Another country one?
Yep, massively overrepresented in the stats, the country people. Terrible, terrible story.
A new vaccine designed by researchers could offer immunity against the virus which causes glandular fever. Early trials show the jab could also help prevent serious diseases from viral infections, which can lead to various cancers and multiple sclerosis. QIMR Berghofer's Professor Rajiv Khanna says it's a major step forward.
The importance of this vaccine and any vaccine that you're designing, it is to maintain the long-term immunity that would prevent any complication in the long term. So that's going to be hugely challenging when we will need to do a very detailed long-term testing in humans.
Ever have glandular fever, Will?
I did. Yeah, I had it when I was in high school.
Yeah, my sister had it. I never had it. Quite unpleasant. The old, it's your glands they sort of swell up. Hence the term, I guess, glandular fever.
Yeah, that's hints in the name.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes you feel very fatigued.
Work with canines. That's dogs for the layman. Yes.
A food dehydrator found at a Victorian tip is being examined as part of the investigation into the poisonous mushroom-related deaths of 3 people.
This story is
it's getting
insane.
more wild by the day, isn't it?
I think that woman's got to stop holding press conferences about how upset she is about it all.
One man remains in a critical condition awaiting a liver transplant, having also consumed the home-cooked meal last month. Now, not for a second suggesting there's any link, but her ex-husband in hospital last year for 17 days in an induced coma for something he'd eaten.
Yeah, I know. I mean, bad luck can strike more than once.
That's right. It could be.
But if she invited me around for a mushroom risotto, I reckon I'm making myself dinner that night.
just be err on the side of caution.
Err on the side of caution. No thanks, I've already eaten. Seriously. I mean, there's a bit of gallows humour here. It's terribly, terribly sad.
It's an awful story, but
she's, not the best. Just, who knows? People were in stressful situations, respond in different ways, but yesterday's second presser was just, okay.
Renters' rights are expected to be top of the agenda at next week's National Cabinet meeting as the Prime Minister looks to strengthen those rights. National Cabinet is aiming to set blanket principles for rental protection, but leaving states and territories to set their own rules. Sounds like they'll be short of a rental cap, like the Greens are calling for.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be doing that. But they've got to do something, though. It's just... Well, you know what they've got to do? Build more houses. The Greens are hypocrites in all this, though. I mean, every time you look... Doesn't matter whether it's and we asked the Prime Minister about this the other day. How many different action groups are there against developments, big, small, medium density urban backfill ones in the inner suburbs or new land release? Like, you try to build, like at Aldinga, there's a certain cluster of folks down there, the scrub dwellers, who think Aldinga should look like it did in 1973. And all these people are Green voters. So, okay. So you're upset about the lack of housing, are you? You just don't want anyone to build any houses anywhere. You don't want any new houses near the wash pool, and I'm certainly not saying raise the conservation park because it's sacred down there, but people who complain about urban sprawl, and then they complain about inner urban sprawl, and they're all the sort of green-backed or out and proud green councillors. That seems to be the number one issue in terms of building more housing stock.
Yeah, there does seem to be a logical inconsistency there. Australia's top marine science agency is warning the Great Barrier Reef is at risk of severe damage this summer. The Australian Institute of Marine Science says it's despite the coral reef growing back from 4 mass bleaching events since 2016. Experts say the coral is a fast-growing species which often suffer high death rates. It's been good in recent years. It's come back really nicely.
Yeah.
So what they're warning about here is the fact that we know that this summer is going to be more of a traditional one. So what damage gets done under those conditions remains to be seen. Sort of a watch this space sort of a story. A bill will be introduced to federal parliament calling for a cap to be removed on the amount of earnings an artist can make from having their music played on commercial radio. A 2019 review found the 1% cap serves no public policy and disadvantages Australian musicians. Independent Senator David Pocock says any artist who records a song deserves to be paid fairly.
That stops them from having a fair negotiation when it comes to what they should get paid. And songwriters, composers get paid more than the recording artists. The historical law, and I think it's time that we change it and allow the market to decide what artists get paid for their own music.
I didn't know that was the case.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That sounds like a uniquely Australian law.
So the publishers get more money than the...
Yeah.
Well, that's always the case.
There's a 1% cap on the amount of earnings an artist can make on commercial radio.
But no cap for the
producers
publisher,
and
the producers.
Yeah. How bizarre.
Yeah.
What a weird law.
Yeah.
Thousands of people have gathered in Ireland to bid farewell to musician Sinead O'Connor. A funeral procession passed large crowds among the seafront in the town of Bray, where she lived for 15 years as it made its way to a private service. She died last month in London at the age of just 56.
Very sad news.
Time to check the weather for the day ahead. It's 10.6 degrees outside in the city at the moment. Pretty reasonable sort of a morning. The top today is going to be nice. 20 will be the top. Yesterday was just a magnificent day.
It's been good for most of the last week, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're right. Today, though, probably less than good. 3 to 7 mils of rain forecast, up to, with as I say, max up to 20. Very high chance of showers late this afternoon and throughout the evening. So we might get a pretty reasonable start today with a bit of luck. 15 the top tomorrow and up to 1 mil of rain. Friday, 15 and up to a mil. Saturday, 16 and up to 6 mils of rain. Don't worry about that. That's a great day to sit inside and watch sport all day. Sunday, 18 the top and up to 3 mils of rain. Monday, 18 up to 4. Tuesday, 16 and up to 1. So potentially a bit of a drizzle every day. But we might continue to get these nice little patches we've been getting in between that.
Let us know how the discussions are unfolding in your home, folks. We had a family meeting last night about whether it's Crows or Matildas. I immediately said, well, this is a no-brainer, isn't it? This is huge for the Matildas. We're in unprecedented territory here. And they just looked at me and said, no, we're watching the Crows.
You got overruled?
I got overruled by my wife and my teenage son.
We had that conversation, and it was a hypothetical one. You know, a bit
well,
like
you can't get out of it because you're working.
Because I'm working. Yeah, it's a good question, though. Family meetings would have been going on all over the place.
Not for the first time.
Let's talk.
I was on my own in the corner.
You're like the Greens of your household.
Yeah,
You're the sort of
exactly
loud minority.
What's he going on about now?
He's proposing something that's never going to happen. Thanks to Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Well, let's start with the World Cup, shall we? Because there was an important game on here in Adelaide. It's the last match that we've staged for the World Cup, and it's been really well done at Hindmarsh, and it was France who were just too good. They're going to be playing the Matildas. This was probably the pick of the goals in their 4-0 win against Morocco.
Oh, lovely touch from Daly, releasing Diani. Le Sommer's in the middle, the cutback for Kenza Daly! And that's 2! And it's a spectacular goal!
Clinical finish.
Yeah, audio thanks to Optus. It was clinical. The whole performance was clinical. They were 3-0 up inside 25 minutes. They dominated.
I tell you what, it was one of those games. It would have been fun being there because it's always fun being there. But it was very boring to watch on TV because it was just like there's no contest, contest whatsoever. It looked more like a World Cup qualifier than an actual World Cup match.
Yeah,
you know when you get like USA Vietnam or something and it's 11-0. But what's it mean for Australia, Tom?
Well, it means that Australia takes on France in Brisbane on Saturday.
Yeah, but in terms of how the game will go, like Will said at the start, France looked dominant, but I don't know. Is the counter way of looking at that? Maybe France have had too big a cakewalk into this game against the Matildas.
Maybe because when they, it was a good atmosphere there last night, but on Saturday night it's going to be rocking. And, you're right. It's going to be a total change of pace.
Peter Hoy's comments about how much home ground advantage means in a World Cup.
It's huge.
Hugely important.
Yeah. I think in any sport, you see that with footy every week now, don't you? And just it's so hard to overcome that. It's intimidating. So that it counts for something.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Kerr playing as well. Look, they're going to have to be good. The French they're a great side. They're technically very good as well. But the Matildas, to me, they seem to be peaking at the right time. It seems like they're coming together with their form when they need to be. So I think they're every chance. You're right. It's intriguing scheduling, isn't it? Both those games are in Brisbane.
It's just remarkable it's worked out that way. What are the chances?
Isn't it?
But we were saying yesterday too, remember years ago, I think 8 years ago, wasn't it? It was the Russian World Cup. Adelaide v Hawthorn at the MCG as France played Australia in the opening game of the World Cup. So France, they're sort of the Crows' clash side.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
And they've got the Brisbane theme song as their national anthem, don't they?
do.
And they're playing in the same city as the Crows.
Yeah.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's insane.
If we hear the French anthem twice, it's going to be a dodgy Saturday afternoon, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear it at all.
Yeah, the only time you want to hear the French anthem is when you're watching Casablanca.
So do you reckon
what a great scene.
What a great scene that is.
Oh, yeah.
Still never seen that film.
It's one of the...
That's one of my favourite scenes in movies, where they sing it in the bar
very
at the top of the
emotional.
German anthem. It's so great.
And that movie was made in the midst of the war. They didn't know, at that stage, they didn't know some bit of history. They didn't know who was going to win the war at that stage. So it was a risky thing to kind of side with the Allies.
And it was in Morocco. Casablanca is in Morocco.
Yeah. What's that line? Round up the usual suspects. That comes from Casablanca, doesn't it?
Yeah, round up the usual suspects. Yeah.
Of all the gin joints in all the world, she had to come into mind.
Good on you, Reading.
So have you put in your bid for the halftime entertainment yet, Tom? Seriously?
Yeah.
Well,
there's been I'd call it a groundswell. There's been a groundswell. This is becoming a juggernaut.
Oh, imagine. Wouldn't be good. Meatloaf circa all over again.
You can do anything for love, though, Tom.
Yeah.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timberlook Native Series sectional doors, gliderol.com.au. Should we get a couple of Dutton's texts in before we get to the break?
Here we go. From Con, at the 2000 Olympics, they filled in the corners of Highmarsh Stadium with temporary seating, taking capacity to 18,500. That was for a quarter-final, and it sold out. One here, let's not forget it was the previous Marshall government that invested over $50 million upgrading Highmarsh Stadium to get the Women's World Cup to Adelaide. After near sellout games for all 5 matches, and with matches televised all over the world, Steve Marshall should be commended for putting his political future on the line for investing in tangible infrastructure for sport, when so many at the time slammed him for it. The Women's World Cup reminds us that sport unites this country. Good one.
Keep them coming in. Volkswagen T1 All-Space, the 7-seater that's perfect for weekends away camping trips and the crazy Saturday sports rush.
I'm on the street for Listerine. Toothbrush, dental floss and Listerine Total Care. Which offers the best oral hygiene?
Toothbrush?
Brush? Listerine.
Brush and Listerine.
Close. It's brush, floss, Listerine. See, Listerine's 5 times more effective than floss at reducing plaque above the gum line when used for 12 weeks consistently.
Cool. Any freebies?
Do the disclaimer first.
Listerine Total Care. Use only as directed.
Are painful muscle cramps stopping you doing the things you love or waking you up at night? Caruso's Super Magnesium is a time-release formula with 6 types of magnesium which relieves painful muscle cramps when dietary intake is inadequate and supports muscle health and function. Caruso's Super Magnesium comes with a money-back guarantee and is available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Get back to doing what you love with Caruso's Super Magnesium. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
For nearly 40 years, no one has done certified used cars quite like Steinborner Automotive, with dedicated yards including SA's best range of commercials loaded and ready to go, including SA's only dedicated small car and SUV centre, and SA's only large SUV and 4x4 centre suited for any lifestyle. Steinborner still also has the best range of Commodores from ZBs to the collectibles. View all late model used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
What is Luva House? Simple. Luva House turns your outdoor area into a stunning entertainment space with an opening and closing roof. With rain sensors, you'll keep winter out. And when you need to, you can let the light in, so you can be outdoors and entertain all year round. Best of all, they're manufactured right here in SA with options like LED lighting. But you be the judge. Find out more with a free design, measure and quote. See the light with Luva House. luvahouse.com.au.
FIVEAA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to FIVEAA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers developing a high of 20. With the 6:30 news, I'm Kendall Brettick.
Complete windscreen supply and fit, front, rear and door glass. Proudly South Australian since 1976.
South Australia's road tolls risen again after the death of a teenager near border town. Emergency crews were called to Senior Road last night after reports of a single-car rollover. The 17-year-old boy's death is the 74th life lost on our roads, compared to 46 a year ago. It's been revealed the former husband of the woman who hosted the deadly mushroom lunch in Victoria almost died last year when he suffered a mystery gut illness. Isabella Stashkovsky reports.
Simon Patterson is the ex-husband of Erin Patterson, the woman who cooked the deadly mushroom meal, which killed his parents and auntie and has left his uncle fighting for life in hospital. On social media, he wrote, "I collapsed at home. There was in an induced coma for 16 days, through which I had 3 emergency operations, mainly on my small intestine." It's worth noting there is currently no suggestion his hospitalisation is linked to this investigation. Police, meanwhile, are this morning focusing on a dehydrator found at a local tip. It's been sent for forensic testing.
A woman who managed to escape a fatal house fire on Queensland's Russell Island admits she has survivor's guilt. Connie Campbell jumped from the balcony when flames began burning her feet. 34-year-old Wayne Godinett and his 5 sons all died in the blaze. Connie has told of her heartbreak at not being able to save her nephews. A discussion paper's considering how to reduce reliance on the Defence Force during natural disasters. A major review has found the ADF is missing out on training time by responding to emergencies. The federal government believes a greater emphasis on volunteers may be needed to pick up the slack. Emergency Management Minister Murray Watts says the military will always have a role to play, but it shouldn't need to help in every disaster.
I've seen for myself in so many situations the incredible work that our Defence Forces perform and the real morale boost that they give communities when they roll into town. But the reality is that they're struggling to keep up with the sheer demand on their time.
Drinking 1 or more sugary drinks every day may increase your risk of liver disease. Gail Watson explains.
A team of international researchers studied more than 98,000 postmenopausal women between 50 and 79 years in the United States. They found those who consumed 1 or more servings of sugary drinks per day had a significantly higher risk of liver cancer and death from liver disease, compared with people who consumed 3 or fewer servings of sugar-sweetened beverages per month. The researchers did not find an increase in these risks from artificially sweetened drinks. They say future studies should identify the biological pathways of these associations.
There's another chance to get Paul McCartney tickets today. The second pre-sale's happening through Ticketek. Sale times are staggered around the country, with tickets for the SA concert going online at 2:30. The former Beatles playing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre on the 18th of October. Tickets go on sale to the general public on Friday. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia will take on France in the World Cup quarter-finals after Le Bleu was too good for Morocco, winning 4-0 at Hindmarsh. The Aussies and French will meet in Brisbane on Saturday. There was one other match on earlier last night, and it was Colombia beating Jamaica 1-0. The goal coming in the 51st minute.
Swung towards the back post. Big chance here. Osman! Colombia hit the front thanks to their captain on the night.
Audio there, thanks to Optus. Let's go to football, and Adelaide is holding out hope Isaac Rankin will play in Saturday's crucial clash against Brisbane at the Gabba. Rankin has missed only 2 matches with a hamstring injury, but is making strong progress as he looks to return. Meantime, Jack Riewoldt insists he isn't losing sleep amid uncertainty over his future in football. A decision yet to be made on whether the 34-year-old will play on at Richmond next year. He's told Fox Footy contracts for him and Trent Cotchin are not a priority for the Tigers.
There's still discussions constantly between, it's probably more so me, and Trent's in the same boat as me, and Blair Hartley, this manager, and one of our football managers as well, and we just constantly chat and make sure we keep each other informed, because there's days where you go, oh, no, oh, yeah, oh, no, oh, yeah.
And that is the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing, a high of 20. A shower or two tomorrow, down to 15. Cloudy on Friday, also 15. And showers returning on Saturday, 16. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. Police and weather coming up. We're going to chat with Mark McGill, the CEO of Variety, this half hour. The Variety Bash departs Port Adelaide Saturday morning. They're going to travel nearly 2,500 Ks, motorcade including 370 people, with a view to raising $2 million. Looking forward to chatting with him just before 7 o'clock this morning. Paul in Evanston Park's called into the program. Morning to you, Paul.
Hey, good morning, boys. How are you?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Paul.
Hey, guys, I went to primary school up here at Gawler Evanston Gardens Primary. Our headmaster in the early 70s was a guy called Bill Cochran. He had two sons who played for Central District, so there was Bill and Richard, and I think Richard's son then went on to play for Port Adelaide. But as the headmaster, he used to take the Year 6 and Year 7 boys to the annual games at Elizabeth, where Centrals were home to Port Adelaide. Now, I know, Pembo, you would have been around the traps in the 70s for the Sandful, so it was the biggest game. And for a kid from the country coming to Elizabeth to see the tribal supporters of each of those teams, there were the Central supporters always had the northern end, and seriously, they had pike poles with dead magpies on them. We would get a pie and a bottle of Coke in the rooms with the players before the game. And we got to see players like Sonny Murray and stuff, like up close and touch them. It was just amazing. So, and there were a lot of kids from that school who went on to play for Centrals, largely because of that first interaction with the club, because of that headmaster who was just the most marvellous man.
It's a great story you tell, Paul, and it reminds me, Scott Hodges has got really strong memories because he's 55, I think, and growing up as a kid in Salisbury North, that rivalry between Port and Centrals, I don't think people in other parts of the city get it. As a southerner growing up, where it was more for us, it was always sort of Sturt v Glenelg, that was our local derby, but out north, it was a fierce rivalry between Centrals and Port.
There was no put on about it. They hated each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you, Paul. Thank you for that. 8223 0000 is the number if you'd like to call into the show at any time and indeed on any subject. Speaking of footy, whether you bring food to the football this morning. 8223 0000 is the number. Do you BYO? Do you pack your own? Do you cook something up beforehand or stop into a Foodland and buy something on the way there? A survey conducted by Roy Morgan and Heinz found 39% of people bring their own food and condiments to the football. Made some other observations about the footy food experience. Let's just put to one side the fact of the cost. I think that was 100% of people think it costs too much.
Yeah.
2 in 5 agree there are not enough sauce options. I thought that was good.
Not enough sauce options?
Not enough sauce options. 59% agree the halftime meal is in need of a shake-up. 24% of people stay home to cook their own food because it tastes better. And 28% expect more creative food at games. Do you bring your own food to the footy? Love to hear from you this morning. 8223 0000. We've got a Harry Potter Adelaide Symphony Orchestra ticket to give to someone for the show on the 19th of August. Those tickets are on sale now.
I thought it was funny that it was Christian Petrarca who was the face of this story. So I was wondering, in July, probably the normal reason is that Melbourne's crowd numbers dip somewhat, is that most of their fans go to the south of France to escape the Australian winter. But I think over the last year or so, I think the Adelaide Oval's done a better job with the food. I think it's really good that they've got the Vietnamese chain Sunta there now.
Yeah, that's good.
They've always had some good stuff, like the Barossa hot dogs are really good. I reckon it's a quality hot dog with all the onion and bacon. But, the prices are higher than elsewhere.
Adelaide Oval is the haves and the have-nots, though. The members' side has great food options. I've only realised this recently.
No, on the western side, on the eastern side, they've got all that stuff through there, Sunta and
yeah. But
everything.
if you're so I'm sitting up level 4 or whatever it is. Your average run-of-the-mill stuff. I've only really because I've never had members' tickets at Adelaide Oval. I've been invited a couple of times when I haven't worked this past season. And the ease with which you can walk out and there's food trucks and
squid and
people making pizzas and stuff.
Indian.
It's unbelievable. It's a different experience.
I've never been a SACA member either, but I've got in a few times with friends and been invited by Cricket Australia a couple of times in the past. And during the test, you go there. It's like what's that French movie? Le Grand Bouffe.
It's ludicrous.
It's just laid on with a trowel.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think, folks. The cost of everything, and this is why the Royal Show thing took off as a story last week, where instinctively, at the moment, everything's so finely calibrated for people. And I get the show's distinction, albeit a poorly handled one, if they'd come out up front and said, listen, it just doesn't make any economic sense for us to have to maintain these ticket booths for people who just turn up at the last minute. So our message is we're going to make it a lot more expensive if you're a last-minute attendee. So everyone a little bit of planning, get your tickets in advance, and then you'll pay a slightly higher price, a price that is defensible because it's in line with inflation. But even that, at the moment, like the issue the show had, and this is the issue that has been facing the Adelaide Oval and indeed all ovals for a long time, never more so than in the last 6 months, is that any increase people go, what, again? When it's already so high? And that's the problem at the moment. If something's perceived as not providing terrific value, any increase, people just regard it as another punch in the hip pocket.
Let us know, do you bring your own food to the footy? If so, what do you bring? Nathan Hill says, I always bring BYO food to the footy. Between the cost and the fact that it's largely rubbish, I think there are much better options. What are you making though, Nathan? We want some details. What are people bringing?
Apricot slice.
I mean, it's inviting ridicule, isn't it? 8223 text us on the Duttons text line. Let us know. Do you bring food to the footy? And if you do, what is it you're bringing? Hey, it's a big happy birthday to one of Australia's greatest ever sports people.
Open tennis came about when I was still able to be a part of open tennis. Because 68, I'd been a pro for 5 years and couldn't play in any of the tournaments. So now I'm there. I'm able to play, and it really is a thrill. And it's more of a thrill for the players of today, because I think if I'm not mistaken, it's 4.4 million if you win this. All the state titles had championships. I came from Queensland, and Milton was our court up there. Had about 5,000-6,000 seats in it, but it was that was the way everybody played. And,
a rickety old place, I think you called it.
Yes, it was pretty rickety, and they had to pull it down.
That is the voice of Rod Laver, who turns 85 years of age today. 11 Grand Slam singles titles, won the Grand Slam twice. So 1962 and 1969. Winning all 4 Grand Slams in a calendar year. It is a peerless record. He also
amazing, isn't it?
He also won a host of doubles, Grand Slams, Grand Slam doubles, including the Australian Open 4 times. Played mixed doubles, won Wimbledon twice, mixed doubles, 4 Wimbledon championships.
You know what someone should do? Have like some sort of demonstration match where they get like Kyrgios and Djokovic and all these blokes who've always played with these tightly strung, oversized, overheaded rackets where they've got 19 other ones in their bag lest a string goes askew during match play. And so, right, lads, today you're playing with a wooden Dunlop racket strung with catgut, and you're not allowed to replace it because that's your racket.
That would be awesome to watch.
Because the size of the heads on those rackets is so small, and it makes
the margin for error.
Yeah, and when you watch them, when you watch guys like Lavey, you go, it's just so graceful. But the way they had to middle the ball so perfectly makes it's a bit like cricket bats.
Yeah.
How'd Dave Warner go without something that's not foot wide?
Well, the size of the meat on it.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit it that well for it to go for 4 or 6. The other thing at cricket too, the days of uncovered wickets.
Yeah.
The idea you get immaculately prepared wickets.
Yeah.
You know, the idea Bradman averaged 100 on largely uncovered wickets is ludicrous.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's just crazy. But Rod Laver's in that category. There are some sports people that are great, and then there are some that are just crazy good, and they're just so far above.
He seems like the world's most modest man too, doesn't he?
Completely. That's him. That was him, obviously speaking just recently at a major Open Championship, reflecting on his time playing Open tennis. Graham in Craigmore's called into the program. Morning to you, Graham.
Good morning. I don't know if anybody knows or whether you guys know or not, but out on Port Wakefield Road, you know, we've had the world's greatest sized cockroach and a whole lot of other stuff, and Cozzy's advertising. So they're gone. They're missing.
Are you joking?
No, I don't know whether they've gone for reconditioning or whether they've met an nasty end.
That was the farmer. Now, I'll try to ask him off air, but didn't he have some sort of beef with John Olsen when John Olsen was Premier?
Oh yeah, there was numbers of people in the government that he had to go at. I think he said somebody have a heart and a few other bits and pieces. But the flying saucer is gone, the cockroach is gone, the horse is gone.
Wow.
And on the other side, there was, there still is the lookout with the 2 soldiers up in there. That's the only thing that's left.
There was like a Ned Kelly character too, wasn't there, Graham?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's amazing. I wonder what the story is there. That's a great Adelaide story,
totally.
But they've all vanished.
If you've got some more information for us, let us know. 8223 text us on the Duttons text line. We're going to check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. At Modbury, a car is stuck on the O-Bahn near Smart Road. Smart Road is currently closed at the moment. Got works at Happy Valley, slowing things up. Chandler's Hill Road near Blue Hills Road, speeds at 25. It will get slow at West Beach a little later. That's for works Tapley's Hill Road near Berrybridge Road. And we're slowing up right now, Fullerton Road at the Glen Osmond Road intersection near the Arkabar for works. Cameras, Days Road, Croydon Park and Exeter Terrace at Dudley Park. For a limited time only at Amart, get a minimum of 15% off custom-made lounges and sofas. From colour to configuration, style your home your way with Amart. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Right now, it's time to save at Decor Lighting with their 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 50% off sale. Lighting, ceiling fans and more up to 50% off.
Decorate with Decor Lighting.
24 The Parade, Norwood.
Stressed about replacing an ageing legacy industrial gear unit? SEW Eurodrive can promptly supply a modern drop-in replacement engineered to match crucial dimensions and driven by efficient gearing technology. Out with the old and in with the SEW. Reduce downtime, gain in efficiency by choosing SEW Eurodrive drop-in replacement, assembled in Australia from locally stocked components. SEW Eurodrive, driving Australian industry since 1982.
Celebrate 85 years of Nescafe and win $2,000 instantly. Purchase a participating Nescafe product and enter online for your chance to win. There's a winner every day for 85 days. But hurry, this ends soon. T's and C's at nescafe.com.au.
Maxima, offering employment and disability support services. Break down the barriers of NDIS. Go to maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 to 7. So back in May of this year, the rat, cockroach, Tin Man, UFO, Ned Kelly statues were removed and relocated.
Oh, so it happened a couple of months ago?
It happened a couple of months ago.
I had no idea.
They were taken out of the area on lower light there.
Yeah, right,
Port
okay.
Wakefield Road. Let's head to the Weather Bureau. Mark Anilak joins us on this Wednesday morning. Mark, are we going to get a bit of a nice period today before the rain comes in?
Absolutely. Most of the day should be fine. Clear skies at the moment. We're heading for an estimated top of 20 degrees with quite a dry northerly wind. So if you've got some washing that needs to be done, get it out there. It'll dry pretty quickly. The showers themselves are coming later today. So I expect we'll probably see the first spots developing around about 5 or 6 tonight, with most of the shower activity occurring between 6 p.m. and midnight. So we are expecting some showers later today, but up until then it should be a fine, mostly sunny start to the day, heading for a top of 20 degrees this afternoon.
Good on you, Mark. Thank you for that. Mark Analak from the Bureau of Meteorology. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Rhett Davis joins us. Rhett, a car's become stuck on the Oban this morning.
Just after 2:10 a.m, police were called to Loch Lomond Drive in Modbury after reports of a Toyota utility stuck on the tracks. Police located a man walking along the tracks away from the vehicle who just happened to be the vehicle's owner and submitted him to an alcotest. The 30-year-old man from Beulah Park returned a positive reading of .152, that's 3 times the legal limit. He was reported for drink driving and also lost his licence for 12 months and will appear at Adelaide Magistrates Court at a later date. The Oban is currently closed for city-bound traffic between Modbury and Paradise while the vehicle is still on the tracks, and we wait on a crane to remove it.
So he's clearly had far too much to drink, Rhett. Was there any explanation? Did he get on there by accident, or was he just skylarking? Thought it'd be a bit of a laugh to.
No, I think it was more an accident.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Also, there was a firearms incident at Elizabeth Park last night.
Yeah, about 5:15 last night, police were called to Midway Road after reports of 2 men assaulting another man near Seaborough Road. It was reported that one man was in possession of a firearm which was discharged towards the victim. A 23-year-old man sustained minor facial injuries as a result of the assault, but did not require medical treatment. Patrol set up cordons to search for the 2 suspects and located them both in a nearby home. The 2 men were arrested without incident. A 28-year-old man from Elizabeth Park and a 40-year-old man from Elizabeth East were both charged with aggravated robbery and discharged firearm to injure or annoy or frighten a person. The 28-year-old man was further charged with possessing a firearm without a licence, contravening a firearms prohibition order and hinder police. Both men have been refused bail and will appear in Elizabeth Magistrates Court today. Northern District CIB conducted an excessive search in the premises and located what is believed to be the firearm used in the incident. So if anyone who's witnessed the incident or has information that may assist the investigation, can they report it to Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Good stuff, Rhett. Senior Constable Rhett Davies there from SAPOL. Thanks for that.
It's 8 minutes to 7. Coming up after 7 o'clock this morning, we're chatting with Nick Hayes, the Managing Director of Media Stable, about the TV phenomenon that the Matildas have become over the course of the World Cup. We'll also go around the courts with Sean Fuster. David Koch also on the show a little bit later in the morning. Coming up this weekend, the Variety Bash will depart Port Adelaide Saturday morning, setting off on a journey of some nearly 2,500 Ks with 370 people with an aim to raise $2 million. It's all for the wonderful charity Variety, whose CEO Mark McGill joins us now. Mark, good morning to you.
Morning, Will. Morning, Dave.
Good to have you on as always, Mark. We love Variety and we love doing our annual appeal with you guys. Now, the bash has become sort of part of the sort of South Australian sort of cultural landscape, really, hasn't it? So many people who do it. It's a real rite of passage.
Absolutely. It's become, and this is our 35th year, so it's sort of it's been a continuing success that has raised, as Will said, we're hoping to raise over $2 million this year. So if you can imagine that amortised across all those years, how many, literally hundreds of thousands of children have been impacted positively by the fundraising of these wonderful people. We've got 82 cars taking off, that they wouldn't be with about 270 odd entrants. But adding to that, we've also got mobile workshops. We've got nearly 9 or 10 of those. These guys give up their whole week to repair the cars, keep the cars going. We've got nearly 50 odd officials who, again, take the time off, commit to making the event what it is, keeping the entrance safe, making sure everyone has a great time. And it's just with over nearly 100 volunteers for 8 days on the road that commit. That is extraordinary generosity of their own spirit, and it allows us to, as I say, hopefully make just a tick over $2 million, so it'd be fantastic.
So it's 2,500 Ks, Mark. What's the sort of end point? And because you leave from Port Adelaide, where do you go to?
It's the long way, Dave. It's the long way to get to McLaren Vale. In typical Variety fashion, you could slip down there from Port Adelaide in about 58 minutes. But we thought, no, let's do 2,490 Ks and let's take 8 days to get there. Why rush? You know,
exactly.
It's going to be there when we get there anyway. So we go up to the first day. We go through Penang into Barmera, and then we sort of head up to overnight into Peterborough. Antro Woolshed will be a great night with probably our biggest swag night that we've had in some time. Everybody will be in a swag there. Across to Broken Hill, into Menindee, so we're into far west New South Wales, and then we start heading sort of south, tuck into Robinvale a little bit on the border, sort of down the Darling, and then across to Pinaroo, into Mannum, and then McLaren Vale next Saturday. So
that's a good drive.
It's a great drive, and the other thing is also we'll deliver over $300,000 worth of grants just in these 8 days. So it's whilst the fundraising obviously is an annual thing, $300,000 will be delivered in front of those who raise the money. So it's a really important bit to show the entrants and the officials and everybody who commits to this event and to Variety overall what we do and who we do it for. So and the other little bit which we've sort of only discovered in recent times, I guess, is that there's $750,000 or thereabouts of economic benefit when you take 370 people through the bush in the middle of winter with petrol and accommodation and food and water, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a fantastic initiative, and as I say, 35 years, it's been great. And we're really looking forward to a great run, and we're really looking forward to hopefully some good weather.
Well, if you're the baker in Barmera or Pinaroo, you'd better
stock up.
Get up a couple of hours earlier because you're going to make about another 370 extra pies, pasties and sausage rolls. Good stuff, Mark. Mark McGill there, the CEO of Variety. We'll catch up soon, mate, and all the very best for another successful bash.
4 minutes to 7. We are talking about a survey in the Tiser this morning regarding the number of people that are bringing their own food to the footy. Sue in Christie's Beach, I think, is one of those. Sue, are you a BYO food footy fan?
Not so much the food, but definitely a BYO fan.
Mm-hmm.
What we used to do was take in a plastic 2-litre bottle of Coke, done up really tightly and push the ring up to make sure it doesn't look like it's been opened, but it was about 25% bourbon.
Right, BYO drinks, Sue. I see.
Yes, well,
no surnames given for this one.
I see.
Yeah, I can remember.
It's very expensive at the footy.
Yes, well,
yeah.
People used to fill watermelons with vodka.
Did you go with was there a mixer involved there, Sue, or were you just having them neat to keep yourselves warm on a winter's night?
No, just the bourbon and bit
bourbon
of
and Coke.
Yeah.
Good on you, Sue.
It's one way to keep warm. Good on you, Sue. Thank you.
Another Sue here, not Sue from Christie's Beach. This is a more legal approach. Sue says we take 3 thermoses, one with tea, one with coffee, one with water, and also 2 2-minute noodles and a slice of sultana cake. Sue says it's too expensive otherwise.
I wanted to hear what more people bring to the footy. If you're a BYO footy fan, what's in your knapsack? What are you bringing along? 8223 Text us on the Duttons text line, 0480
John's also texted with this. I didn't know this either. John says, I wasn't aware that Sam Kerr's father played in the 98 Port Adelaide Sandford Premiership, with the brother being Daniel Kerr. Should have won a Brownlow. Though I believe that they came over from WA, does that mean that we can claim her as a South Australian?
I think we've claimed people with,
more tenuous links.
More tenuous links.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think.
South Australia's own Sam Kerr.
Yeah, we make sporting champions here.
That's right. Daughter of a mighty Maggie's club legend.
One area we bat well above our weight is producing national team soccer players.
Yeah, very
like
much.
We don't have to reach far to find South Australians that have made it. It's either Matildas or frankly the Socceroos at the moment. It's full of South Australians. 5AA News is coming up. We'll be back to take you through a whip around some of the big stories around Adelaide and the world next.
Way back in 1974, Gliderol Garage Doors began manufacturing and installing garage doors in South Australia. A lot has changed since then, but our commitment to quality remains as strong as ever. We have garage door solutions of all kinds. Not only do we have traditional doors, our timber look or custom designer doors ensure your your house will make a style statement. For a free measure and quote and helpful advice, give Gliderol a call. 1300 799 177 or go to gliderol.com.au.
Are painful muscle cramps stopping you doing the things you love or waking you up at night? Caruso's Super Magnesium is a time-release formula with 6 types of magnesium which relieves painful muscle cramps when dietary intake is inadequate and supports muscle health and function. Caruso's Super Magnesium comes with a money-back guarantee and is available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Get back to doing what you love with Caruso's Super Magnesium. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
The 2.5-litre Nissan X-Trail has been awarded the 2023 Drive Car of the Year Best Medium SUV. And with Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses, you can drive the award-winning Nissan X-Trail ST for competitive weekly repayments that include the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers developing, a high of 20. With the 7 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
A teenager has died after a crash near Bordertown last night. His car rolled on Senior Road. The 17-year-old boy from Senior died at the scene. Major crash investigators are making their way from Adelaide to examine the circumstances. His death is the 74th life lost on our roads this year, compared to 46 a year ago. Another car's become stuck on the O-Bahn at Modbury. Senior Constable Rhett Davies says they were called around 2 a.m. after reports a ute was stuck on the tracks.
Police located a man walking along the tracks away from the vehicle who just happened to be the vehicle's owner and submitted him to an alka test. The 30-year-old man from Beulah Park returned a positive reading of .152, that's 3 times the legal limit. He was reported for drink driving and also lost his licence for 12 months and will appear at Adelaide Magistrates Court at a later date.
The O-Bahn's currently closed for city-bound traffic between Modbury and Paradise while the vehicle's removed. The Prime Minister will sit down with state and territory leaders next week to work on uniform principles to protect renters. Anthony Albanese will lobby his Labor counterparts to work on national rules. It'll be up to each jurisdiction to decide the rules under their own laws. There are calls for an upper house inquiry into the state's controversial lockout laws. It comes after the 3 a.m. lockout was extended by at least 3 years, after a review found there's been a decline in alcohol-related presentations to the RAH since it was introduced. But SA Best MP Frank Pangello says it's turning Adelaide into a nanny state and hurting the hospitality industry. Safety has been at the forefront of an evacuation effort in South Korea where a powerful typhoon is looming. More than 900 Australians are at the World Scout Jamboree and are now heading home. Scouts Australia Chief Phil Harrison's in Seoul where the storm's yet to hit. He's told today the evacuation was necessary.
The typhoon is not evident yet in the southern part of South Korea. This is part of making sure that we keep every person safe. 2/3 of that 900 will be back in Australia on Sunday morning, and then the remaining third will be back in Australia by middle of next week.
An Antarctic scientist is warning its ice caps are melting at alarming rates and is forecasting sea levels to rise by 1 metre by the end of the century as a result. New figures show surface temperatures in East Antarctica were up to 38.5 degrees Celsius above average. Survey author James Kirkman says action's needed now.
And policymakers need to wake up and realise that the consequences of not acting today will continue to haunt us for decades or even centuries to come.
Sinead O'Connor's fans have bid farewell and paid their respects to the Irish singer in her hometown. Edward Godfrey reports.
There's been an outpouring of love and adoration for Sinead O'Connor, who's being remembered as both a singer and as an activist. Thousands have lined the streets in Ireland as the hearse carrying her coffin made its way past her former home in Bray. Many there held up signs bearing lyrics from her music. And as the hearse stopped outside her former home of 15 years, people clapped and left tributes for her, including handwritten notes. And there was a touching moment when the crowd sang her hit song, Nothing Compares to You. Her funeral was held just prior, which was a private ceremony attended by the Irish president and U2 frontman Bono. It's been 2 weeks since the 56-year-old passed away. O'Connor is being remembered, among many things, as a trailblazer.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with soccer. France is through to the quarterfinals of the FIFA Women's World Cup, where they'll face the Matildas on Saturday after defeating Morocco 4-0 here in Adelaide. Le Bleu swept through the first half, scoring their first goal in just 15 minutes.
Cross, Diani with the simple header. And after a hat-trick against Panama, Kadi Diatu-Gianni makes it 4 goals in 2 games.
Audio there thanks to Optus Sport. In the earlier match in Melbourne, Colombia beat Jamaica 1-0 and now go on to face England. Meantime, Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham has conceded 3 goals in the final 10 minutes, losing 4-2 to Barcelona in a pre-season friendly. Let's go to football now, and GWS will be without forward Toby Bedford for Sunday's game against Port Adelaide, with the tribunal upholding his dangerous tackle ban. The Power will be keeping a close eye on several players at training later this morning at Alberton, with Aaliyah and Lockie Jones looking to prove they've overcome concussion knocks, while Miles Bergman and Jeremy Finlayson should also return after they were late withdrawals last week through illness. Meantime, Adelaide head of high performance Darren Burgess has told the club's website Isaac Rankin is a good chance to return to face Brisbane on Saturday, despite missing only 2 weeks with a hamstring injury.
So Isaac's done everything that we've asked of him so far. We still have main training, and if he gets through that and he passes a couple more markers that we need him to pass, then he should put his hand up for selection this weekend.
And that would be good news, and that is the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
It's the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's biggest grand prize ever. Visit homelottery.com.au.
Good morning. At Wingfield, look out for debris on the road from a smash on South Road near Grand Junction Road. Modbury car is stuck on the Oban near Smart Road. That is closed at the moment. Do have work slowing things up at West Beach, Tapley's Hill Road near Burbridge Road, speeds at 40 and getting slow Glen Osmond Road and Fullerton Road intersection for works just near the Arkabar. Cameras, Days Road, Croydon Park and Exeter Terrace at Dudley Park. Guzmani Gomez's 10 under $10 menu, $3 tacos, free-range chicken tacos, fries with chipotle mayo and more. This is value without compromise. GYG. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing a high of 20, a shower or two tomorrow down to 15. Cloudy on Friday, also 15, and showers returning on Saturday, 16. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Jarmer's Kitchen, the level of quality has always been very high. But Chris Jarmer always asks the question,
how do we take it higher? Got it. We'll open a room upstairs.
Try the new upstairs private dining rooms with a balcony. If you see Chris walking the floor, as he often does, ask him about his daily selections. You can preview the menu online at jarmerskitchen.com.au. Jarmer's Kitchen, 3 generations of chefs and now 2 great levels of dining.
Upstairs, genius.
Jarmer's Kitchen, fancy made easy.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
We were singing bye.
Don't be put off by the fact there's rain on the forecast today. It sounds like, at very least, the first part of the day is going to be beautiful. And as we look outside at the moment, over the hills, it looks like the sort of day that we will get in part, top of 20 degrees.
Beautiful
the rain
sunrise.
won't come until later in the day. So if you've got things you want to do early, you're going to have a day in which to do them.
There's a lovely golden hue looking there up towards Mount Lofty as the sun makes its way over the hills. Lovely day.
We've been talking in the last half hour, should I say, about BYO food at the footy. There's a survey in the paper today suggests lots of people are doing it. A whole bunch of concerns, from cost to quality to lack of sauce choices. Peter and Hillbank, what do you bring to the footy?
Yeah, mine's actually my sister. My sister who's currently in South Korea at the Scout Jamboree. She takes a thermos with hot dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she packs about 5 or 6 hot dogs in hot water in a thermos, and then they take their big spread of rolls and sauce, and because she goes with her husband and kids.
That's a good idea.
They've all got a feed there for quite a low cost.
Where does she sit, Peter? Does she sell them privately?
Yeah, no, she also takes soup as well, and a selection of takes fruit as well, because having kids there, they always want something to eat.
So she assembles the hot dogs at the ground. So she's got the Frankfurts in the thermos, keeping them warm, and takes the buns and the sauce and everything separately.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I've actually been there when she's cracked it all out, and it's quite a spread.
That is superb.
Hey, mate, Peter, did you say your sister's in South Korea? Is she caught up in the dramas at the Jamboree? Because I heard overnight that apparently there's some typhoon heading towards the Jamboree, and they're telling everyone they have to evacuate.
Absolutely, what you're hearing is true. Yes, she is caught up in it. The US and UK were the first countries to pull all their scouts out, and now all the Aussies are out now as well. She had to stay back and help pack up the tents. Like, they had a certain amount of tents each leader had to pack up.
Yeah.
And then there was a bus coming late last night and taking them all to I don't know how it's pronounced, but maybe Seoul or something like that.
Seoul.
They're going,
right.
She's
because that Korean boy band, what are they called? PSY or something? They were meant to be playing some big outdoor concert, and they've had to cancel that too, and all their fans are going berserk.
Yeah, look, it really it really was a mess from the start. So
yeah,
she's had a really tough week. Blistering temperatures, midgy bites, head to toe. She's really done it tough over there. So, but lastly, in regards to the footy as well, whenever I go with my wife, we make sure that we have a really good feed on the way there, because we think the costs, and not only the cost, it's the lines as well. So if you want to eat when everyone else wants to eat at quarter time, half time, anything like that, you've got to line up with everybody else. So you may as well go there with a full stomach and not really worry about dealing with their food and lines and costs.
That's a strategy. Peter, thank you. We're wishing your sister all the best too. Hopefully she's able to get home safe and get over all the other things that have plagued her over the course of that journey. Now, we spoke to Sapole about 25 minutes ago with regard to someone entering the O-Bahn in a vehicle.
A drunken idiot.
Not a bus that's converted to it. That's right.
3 times over the limit.
Well, sometimes you ask yourself, how can this happen? Well, it was pretty clear in this instance. The person they blew apart a breathalyser. Peter Caldicott for 7 News is at the scene this morning. PC, good morning to you. How far did this person get?
Well, good morning. I'm standing on Smart Road, and I'm looking down the O-Bahn, and about 300 or 400 metres down, you can see where the driver's finished up. Obviously, he wasn't too smart, and it looks like a black twin cab ute, quite a late model ute, has gone pretty much on its side. It's got about 300 metres down the track, and then the driver's come unstuck, and it's definitely wedged in the O-Bahn track. And so I think our services from Modbury to Paradise are going to be disrupted city-bound this morning, but I don't think there'll be a lot of disruptions for commuters. I think they just go around to the next interchange down at Paradise. They just go by road and get around it that way. But it's going to be quite an operation to get the thing out. I think they're going to need a crane to come in and lift it off the tracks. And obviously the driver's in a bit of trouble.
He certainly is.
Peter, thank you for that. Peter Caldicott for 7 News. We had to see those pictures tonight. Sounds like he was heading down there, at a degree of speed to have it wedged in the tracks there. That'll be a sight to see on the news tonight. Lots of texts from people bringing things to the footy. Rob says, I was once sitting at a Crows game when the chap sitting beside me with a pair of binoculars suddenly unscrewed one of the eyepieces and poured himself a scotch.
That sounds like something that Q from James Bond would invent,
I think I've seen those. You can buy them at those... Excuse my voice. You can buy them at those gift shop sort of deals.
Yeah, like
the trick binoculars.
Father's Day present with sort of, a walking stick that's got a hip flask hidden inside the handle.
All right, exactly right. Other news.
Just in case our good friends at the Stadium Management Authority are listening, we're not actively encouraging people to smuggle alcohol into the ground after the call from Sue earlier when they had suspicious 2-litre Coke. Smells a lot like Jim Beam.
To be fair to Sue, I think she may have been talking about a previous ground in a previous era.
Yeah, she hasn't done that for years.
Yeah, certainly not. That's what it sounded like to me. Overnight, big press conference that NASA held. If you close your eyes and picture it, you'll be pretty able to accurately piece together the picture. This is the one where you've got the head of mission control, you've got the head of NASA, you've got all the astronauts lined up on a giant press conference, a milestone in the Artemis 2 mission. The crew of Artemis 2 got their first look at the NASA Orion spacecraft that is going to be taking them to the moon, but not dropping them off at the moon. So there's 3 stages to the Artemis missions. The first one was making sure that the Orion would basically work, get off the ground and go around the Earth. The second is a crewed mission to the moon, where they go and do a lap of the moon and come back to make sure that's possible. The third is the landing on the moon for the first time in, 50 years now. The Artemis 2 component of this will take off late next year, so it's sooner than you think. And here's a bit of what the team behind the mission had to say.
The fact that the crew has seen their spacecraft now, this is another major step of us going back to the moon. Remember, we're going back to the moon. It's actually a different moon. We're going to the South Pole. We're going to see several spacecraft, some too, perhaps, from other nations that are going to be landing on the South Pole in the near future, perhaps this year. So there's a renewed interest in the moon. And of course, it's there because the potential of water. And if there is water in enough abundance, then you have the potential for hydrogen and oxygen, which would fit in very nicely with why we're going back to the moon this time after a half century. We're going back to learn to live in a deep space environment for long periods of time so that we can go to Mars and return safely.
That's NASA Administrator Bill Nelson.
So the South Pole of the moon.
The South Pole of the moon is where they will ultimately land this mission when they get to stage 3. So it's still a couple of years away.
So we find water there, then what happens? We start building houses.
You can build a permanent...
You
can build a permanent base, and then you can... That allows you to look further afield, and you can build rockets there. It's much easier to launch things from a spot in space than it is on Earth, where there's more gravity and atmosphere and whatnot to contend with. So it just increases your options for further exploration, basically.
Yeah, base camp sort of thing.
Yeah, this is like when humanity transitioned away from boats that could only abut the shore to going out to sea. You know, it's like the intermediary step between finding the new world, if you will, to use the sort of, Columbus, America style example. They didn't just go one day, there's water, let's put some wood together and we'll go to America. There was a few intermediary steps. That's sort of what this
How hard can it be?
How hard can it be? Exactly right. Now, the other thing that's going on in the United States at the moment, you may have heard about this, is a guy called Donald Trump. He's running for president again. And he is miles ahead in the polls, and he has now given voice to something we have been speaking about on this program throughout the whole period of this indictment era of Donald Trump's political career. Have a listen.
And in the morning consult that just came out, I wanted to see, because, every time you get indicted, I like to check the polls, because one more indictment that I think this election's over. One more. No, it's horrible. You get indicted for nothing. Can you imagine a guy? Let's indict my opponent. This becomes a third world country. The latest morning consult poll has us far ahead. We're at 59%, and the others are at like 12. One is at 12. I think that's the sanctimonious, but he's rapidly being caught by Ramaswamy. Who's good?
So the poll he's talking about is for the Republican primary that he still has to win. That looks like he will in an absolute canter. And I actually think his analysis is spot on. One indictment at a time, he is rocketed to the front of the polls. You remember at the start of this process, there's a live question: would it be Trump or DeSantis? It's not a live question anymore.
Vanished, the Florida governor. There was a photo, just a heartbreaking photo. It reminded me of the famous Bronwyn Bishop press conference where she was running for the leadership, and she said, "I'm so glad you're all here today." And this enterprising cameraman sneakily moved the camera around because she was in the Blue Room at Parliament House with one reporter there covering it. And DeSantis held an event in Florida the other day. There were about 20 people at it.
You don't it seems almost impossible to recover momentum in this scenario. And the indictments have given Trump irresistible momentum. So the live question isn't now whether he'll become the Republican nominee, I think. The live question is, does the boost he gets by virtue of the indictments in a Republican nominee race, is it equivalent in any way to a presidential race, or does it actually harm him overall when you start to talk about people that aren't rusted-ons?
Well, that's right. The thing that could change it, like everyone talks about, the huge vote that Trump got last time, and Trump mainly talks about it because he still thinks that he won the damn election. Biden got a bigger vote. And what it shows is that there's a whole bunch of quiet Americans. For all the MAGA people out there with their Make America Great Again baseball hats on, there's a lot of quiet Americans sitting at home and go, geez, I want the volume turned down. I don't want this guy to be president. So the hope for moderate middle America is that all those people get off the couch on polling day to stop him a second time.
That was at New Hampshire. There will be a lot more rallies. There'll be a lot more Trump quotes. And there'll be a few more indictments, it sounds like, as well. 21 after 7, we're going to check traffic and come back talking about the incredible success of the Matildas and how that materialises in a monetary sense. The economics of major sport. We'll talk about that next.
Thanks, Will. At Wingfield, got debris on the road from a smash on South Road near Green Junction Road. Modbury car is stuck on the O-Bahn near Smart Road. Smart Road is closed at the moment. Getting busy right now, West Beach, Tapley's Hill Road near Bearbridge Roads for those works, and also sluggish Glen Osmond Road at the Fullerton Road intersection for ongoing works too. Don't miss Australia's biggest golf clothing clearance at Drummond Golf. The half-price clothing clearance starts this Thursday for a limited time only at Drummond Golf. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
There are suggestions the Matildas should get a public holiday, or should get Australia a public holiday if they win the FIFA Women's World Cup, the day off to celebrate. I don't think the public holiday is a good idea.
Weekday mornings from 9.
What makes the Matildas more special than, for instance, the Diamonds, who have just won the World Cup in netball? Where do you draw the line?
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Over 5,500 Adelaide businesses have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. What's keeping you? One of the easiest ways to save is by switching out your old lighting to energy efficient LEDs. An on-site assessment can help to design the perfect LED lighting system for your business. And with rebates available, a full upgrade might cost as little as $33. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from Your Energy Saving Solutions, go to yes.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Now, this might be a question affecting a lot of you out there, but is hip or knee pain stopping you from living life to the fullest? If so, take a step in the right direction with Adelaide Hip and Knee Centre.
Their team of skilled orthopaedic specialists, Doctors Baird, Facina, Morris and Munt, are dedicated to helping you improve your quality of life.
From sports injuries to arthritis, they've got you covered with personalised treatment and the latest in robotic surgery.
Located at the Burnside Hospital, their state-of-the-art facility offers on-site radiology, physiotherapy and pathology for a seamless patient experience. So it's really all in one place, and that's good to know.
And look, it's peace of mind. Don't let hip or knee pain hold you back any longer. Visit Adelaide Hip and Knee Centre, part of your community at Burnside Hospital.
What's on your bucket list? Skydiving? Swimming with dolphins? Hot air ballooning? Before you plan a bucket list, plan your will with Donlan Lawyers. A will, power of attorney and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. It means you and your loved ones will be taken care of. Visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
G'day, it's Baz from FIVEAA Milk Company. Just wanted to let you know that we're doing all we can to get behind our local dairy farmers. They've been doing it tough for a long time. Remember, when you buy FIVEAA Milk Company products, you're making a difference. So keep up the good work, SA. Look for FIVEAA Milk Company products in your supermarket. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEAA Milk Company. South Australian first and proud of it.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. The rating success of the Matildas on Monday night was just an extraordinary story. A story almost as big as the success of the side on the pitch. It became the most watched thing on television this year, an event that eclipsed things like grand finals, AFL and NRL. So last year, 2.96 million viewers of the AFL grand final, NRL 2.37. You start talking about things like Ash Barty's Wimbledon final, if you want to get in the realm of what took place on Monday night. The expectation is then what happens on Saturday at a more family-friendly viewing time? What kind of audience can the Matildas get then? What do they get, without wanting to jinx it, if they go to a semi-final or even a World Cup final? Nick Hayes is the Managing Director of Media Stable and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. And Nick, we tried to conceptualise this yesterday. It was like suddenly an AFL Grand Final popped up on a Monday night on television randomly. Presumably, Nick, it happened too quickly for it to be capitalised on in an advertising sense. Because I imagine if you knew ahead of time, you're a company that wants to get your wares out there, getting that many eyeballs is a pretty rare opportunity.
Yeah, it is. And good morning, Will. Good morning, David. Good morning to your listeners. I don't think any Channel 7 executives actually thought that this would actually happen when they purchased the rights to broadcast the FIFA World Cup, the female version of it. It is enormous, and we've never seen numbers like this. You mentioned around traditionally the AFL Grand Final is the most watched year in, year out. This wiped it on an average audience by over 500,000 across all the metropolitans. So this is a massive success, not just for viewing audiences, massive success for Channel 7, but it's also a change in the dynamics of the viewing of a younger audience now and more females watching female sport. And that's always been the challenge for female sports, is that predominantly men watched female sports. Now more women are watching it.
Nick, we were wondering out loud yesterday, when it comes to advertising packages, I know that if it's anything like newspapers and radio, sales campaigns are sold in advance, but is TV pricing a bit like trying to get an Uber when it suddenly gets busy and your $15 ride becomes a $30 ride? Can the TV stations, can Seven now charge a multiplier to all the big advertisers, like if Harvey and Norman say, or Macca's want to get an ad on, this Saturday afternoon between 4:30 and 7, do the prices go up?
Certainly do, and the ad price for it will go through the roof if the Matildas continue to advance. Look, a lot of the packaged advertisements would have already been pre-purchased, and they would have been pre-purchased with what was going to be seen to be a fairly successful campaign, but I don't think they actually envisaged that it would be this big. And by this big, it's the story. It's not just the success of the Matildas, it's the Sam Kerr coming onto the pitch. They are got stories that are at the game and also to around the game. And that's just working beautifully for them.
Do you reckon if the Matildas do make the final, could this be Australia's sort of Super Bowl moment in terms of what the ads go for in the middle of that game?
Well, it could. I'm not. Look, the most expensive ad that I'm aware of is around $400K for a 60-second ad that ran in the AFL Grand Final, I think 2018. The Northern Territory government purchased that. But we are talking numbers now that are almost double that. Particularly with reach, maybe not so much on average audience, but reach is enormous. And we could be looking at a Super Bowl moment should Australia make it to the actual final.
Nick, wow. Incredible information, mate.
great.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely fascinating. Nick Hayes, the Managing Director and founder of Media Stable.
So $400,000 5 years ago by the NT government for a 60-second ad during the AFL Grand Final. You think now that some companies will end up paying more than that if this unfolds this way?
It's a business story, it's a social story, and I think above all else, it's a sporting story. And you'll hear more of it on the Sports Show with Rowie and Timmy G tonight. The $17 schnitty Monday to Wednesday at the Albion Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior, Lighthouse Wharf. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel. Sean Fuster next.
I'm Ned, and I'm a geek. I'm no good at voiceovers, but amazing at fixing your tech problems. All Geeks to You techies work on any device and give great advice. For in-person or remote tech support, go to geeks2u.com.au. That's the number 2, the letter U.
G'day, it's Rory Sloan. When you buy a Leader computer, you're buying a computer made in Adelaide. You're dealing with people that live in Adelaide. And when it comes to servicing or support, it all happens in Adelaide. Not overseas, not interstate. Leader don't have to send anything off for repair. They take care of everything here. So grow your business and get behind a Leader. Leader Computers, find your local dealer at leadersystems.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers developing a high of 20. With the 7:30 news, I'm Kendall Bretty.
Complete windscreen supply and fit, front, rear and door glass. Proudly South Australian since 1976.
A teenage boy is dead after a car rollover near Bordertown last night. It happened on Senior Road. The 17-year-old died at the scene. His death is the 74th life lost on our roads compared to 46 a year ago. A driver's blown 3 times over the limit after driving onto the O-Bahn at Modbury this morning. His ute is stuck on the tracks near Smart Road. Peter Caldecott from 7 News is there.
Services from Modbury to Paradise are going to be disrupted city-bound this morning. It's going to be quite an operation to get the thing out. I think they're going to need a crane to come in and lift it off the tracks, and obviously the driver's in a bit of trouble.
Police are searching for 4 suspects who dumped a stolen car in a city car park overnight. The grey Audi was spotted driving erratically at Craigburn Farm around 1:30 and followed by Polair down Shepherds Hill Road, South Road and Goodwood Road into the city. It drove through the boom gates into the underground car park of the convention centre. Police cordoned off the area and called in police dogs Duke and Chaos, but the suspects weren't found. The Audi had been stolen from College Park last week. A food dehydrator found at a Victorian tip is being examined as part of the investigation into the poisonous mushroom-related deaths of 3 people. One man remains in a critical condition awaiting a liver transplant, having also consumed the home-cooked meal. Meantime, it's been revealed the former husband of the woman who hosted the lunch nearly died last year after he collapsed with a mystery gut illness. The federal government says it's open to providing the states with more support to help with natural disasters. A major review has found the Defence Forces stretched too thin responding to emergencies like fires and floods. Labor's releasing a discussion paper examining ways to reduce its reliance on the ADF. Emergency Management Minister Murray Watt says volunteer services may need to pick up the slack.
Some of the ideas that are floating around are whether we need to be supporting the states and territories to build up their volunteer teams, the SES services, the rural fire services, because of course disaster management is primarily a state and territory responsibility. But we're open as a federal government to working with the states and providing them with more support.
Queensland scientists have made a major breakthrough in the development of a vaccine that could prevent multiple sclerosis and various cancers. They've been able to develop a formulation that could provide protection against Epstein-Barr virus. EBV can lead to severe illness, including glandular fever, and is likely the leading cause of multiple sclerosis. Professor Rajiv Khanna says it's a springboard which can help with other diseases too.
We have come up with a platform technology which can just be applied to not just to EBV but to other viruses as well, that can actually generate T-cell immunity effectively and sustain T-cell immunity. And that has been hugely, big step forward.
Australia's top marine science agency is warning the Great Barrier Reef is again at risk of severe damage this summer. Emily Minnie reports.
Despite finding hardcover coral has grown back after 4 mass bleaching events since 2016, the Australian Institute of Marine Science is sounding the alarm. The coming summer is forecast to be hot and dry, raising the risk of bleaching caused by marine heatwaves, which can kill coral and leads to biodiversity losses. Bleaching occurs when sea surface temperatures are too hot for an extended period of time, causing the organisms to expel algae from their tissues and turn translucent. The Weather Bureau is yet to declare an El Niño weather event, typically associated with warmer sea temperatures, but warn one could develop as we approach the warmer months.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's go to soccer first, and the Matildas' quarter-final opponents in the World Cup are locked in, with France absolutely destroying Morocco 4-0 at Highmarsh Stadium last night. English football great Ian Wright is adamant Sam Kerr must rejoin the Matildas starting lineup as soon as possible. Australia has reached the last 8 without their star striker, who'd been restricted to just 15 minutes this tournament. Some say her teammates are all flying and should be introduced off the bench, but Wright says Kerr has to play.
Is there a danger that she might disrupt things, or is she so world-class?
Are you serious?
Throw her straight in.
Are you serious? We're talking about the best number 9 in the world. It doesn't matter, with all due respect to whoever's playing up front. Sam Kerr's fit, she's plays.
Colombia was the other side that progressed into the quarterfinals last night after a 1-0 win against Jamaica. Let's go to football, and Port Adelaide will be keeping a close eye on several players today on the training track as they look to make their return this week, including Aaliyah and Lockie Jones, who both missed last week due to concussion. Meantime, Sydney coach John Longmire is confident his side will be able to stand up to the Gold Coast Sun Stars, Tuke Miller and Matt Rowell this weekend.
We'll have to be really strong around the footy in our midfield. There's no doubt that that'll be a big battle. The way that they're so strong in contest and so strong in clearance means that we'll have to be at our best to try and combat that and give our forwards a chance. We feel like we can score if we get it in front of the ball in our forward line enough.
The Swans host the Suns on Saturday afternoon. And a great morning for Australia's male tennis players at the Canada Open, with Alexander Vukic upsetting Borna Coric in straight sets, while Alex de Minaur also had a straight sets win against Cameron Norrie. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
It's the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's biggest grand prize ever. Visit homelottery.com.au.
At Modbury, look out for a car which is stuck on the O-Bahn near Smart Road. Smart Road is currently closed at the moment due to that. Starting to get busy on the drive in at West Beach, Tapley's Hill Road near Burbridge Road for work, speeds at 40, and sluggish now with the lane closed at Richmond Road near Barnes Avenue. Cameras that are out and about, Lily Street, Blair Athol, and you'll find another one too, Main North Road at Enfield. Never compromise the performance of your BMW with full vehicle servicing from $298 at Glenelg BMW. T's and C's apply, LMCT 8953. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing, a high of 20 today, a shower or two tomorrow down to 15, cloudy on Friday also 15, and showers returning on Saturday 16. At the moment 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. 5AA's Business Lounge with Leith Forrest.
So in the Business Lounge today, I'm joined by an inspirational man who is a big fan of Arbor Vitae. Welcome, Peter Wilson.
G'day, Leith.
Hey, I know you've been using Arbor Vitae since 2018. Tell us about it.
It has completely changed my life. It's like liquid gold to me. My joint pain has completely disappeared. My mobility is so much better, and the reduction in inflammation is amazing.
And your mobility has returned. It's given you your life back, and I believe you've ticked off some big things on your bucket list.
Well and truly, to set myself the challenge of walking to the top of Mount Kosciuszko, the highest mountain top of Australia. It was a challenge that prior to Arbor Vitae was literally a dream. I had walked it when I was 17 or 18 years of age, but there was no way that in my 50s I would have entertained the thought had it not been for Arbor Vitae.
Peter, I'm so glad Arbor Vitae has given you back your life. Arbor Vitae is available in chemists and health food stores all over Adelaide. For a full list of stockists or to buy it online direct, go to arborvitae.com.au. That's arb or vitae.com.au. Or you can give the Arbor Vitae team a call and place your order over the phone on 1300 879 863. That's 1300 879 863. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Australia's largest indoor caravan showroom now has even more to explore. Come into Dave Benson Caravans to see the new range of Victory caravans, plus a huge selection of Essential, Highline, Network RV and Cub campers with new features and layouts. We have over 100 new and pre-loved vans and campers, all undercover and all ready for immediate delivery, so you can enjoy your next getaway straight away. See what's available at Dave Benson Caravans, 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn, or online at davebensoncaravans.com.au.
In tough times, it's the simple things that make a big difference, like $17 schnitzel days at the Albion Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. We know the humble schnitty can't fix all our problems, but we do know it'll put a smile on your dial. $17 schnitties Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the Albion Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. Making the world a better place, one schnitty at a time. Got to start somewhere. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 to 8. If you're watching on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, you will note Sean Fuster is back in the studio with us as we go round the courts.
It's time to go around the courts with Sean Fuster on 5AA Breakfast.
Great to have you back on deck, Sean, and not a moment too soon because we have a very intriguing case to talk about this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Well, look, this one has been occupying my mind so much that even though I've been on leave the last couple of days, I've still actually been joining the advertisers' coverage and writing from airport lounges. And I think I wrote part of the story in the Melbourne lounge. I wrote part of the story in the Canberra lounge as I was going around with my good friend and colleague, Isabel McMillan. It's been really fascinating to watch the allegations surrounding Raylene Polymiatis. Now, we've talked about her on the show a couple of times. This is the allegations that she has murdered her parents a year apart using her own insulin. But the story kind of changed. We were talking about this off air. We were talking, Will, about the fact that up till now there's been sort of one version of events presented in the media to do with her health.
Well, that's right, because it seems from the outside there's the case that's about is she responsible for the death of her parents? But within that, there's now intrigue about, well, should she be out on bail? Is she safe in police custody? Because she claimed that her diabetes wasn't being treated appropriately and dramatically collapsed in court one day.
That's right. I was standing outside the courtroom when everyone started rushing in various directions. Sheriff's officers doing an excellent job of looking after her. She had that hour-long wait for an ambulance,
That's
if you
right.
remember. And Pembo, you made the comment that even the prisoners are getting ramped in this state right now.
That's right. No one is safe.
So
even Patrick Dangerfield got ramped.
We got to read in your piece, your latest piece covering it now, the other side of the story, I guess, which is that, well, the prosecution at very least alleged that maybe she wasn't doing everything in her power to make sure that her diabetes was under control. In fact, the allegation was even stronger than that.
That's right, deliberately malingering, one of the all-time great allegations. The idea that Ms. Polymiatis is, in their words, sneaking sugar, that they've got CCTV footage of her from the prison showing her taking sugar from the commissary, having other prisoners bring her sugar, sneaking cappuccino cups, and manipulating her blood glucose levels and manipulating her heart rate in order to have these diabetic attacks.
So she's sort of doing it to herself.
Doing it to herself is the allegation that the prosecution's come back with. Now, here's the thing. All the past couple of weeks when we've been reporting the Prison Health Authority has allegedly done this wrong, the Prison Health Authority has allegedly failed in this case, the Prison Health Authority has allegedly, mucked this up. We've heard these allegations as journalists time and time again. The revised allegations, the reverse allegations, if you will, about the sneaking of the sugar, the CCTV, the deliberate malingering. But we haven't been able to report them.
See, that's really interesting. I think that would surprise a lot of people that you could have a suppression on that specific and almost tangential element of the trial because it's not doesn't necessarily go to the guilt. This is a bail application.
Well, according to the defence, it did go to guilt. They said that if that was reported, it would make their client look like a person who was manipulative and guilty, so it shouldn't be reported.
But what of the poor corrections officers who had to live the last couple of weeks with, the suggestion they couldn't even manage someone's diabetes?
Well, it made it sound like it was some sort of human rights violation, the way it was being reported. And that's not a knock on the reporting, because you could only, play the hand you've been dealt.
And that was the argument that we made before Justice Julie McIntyre. At the very start of the whole thing, when these allegations first came out, myself and other members of the media stood up and said, Your Honour, only one side of this story is being reported. Your Honour's going to make a decision on bail ultimately that will involve all of this information being encompassed and processed by Your Honour to come to a decision. The public has the right to know the decision and the basis for it. You can't just, if Your Honour just leaves this suppression order in place, people are going to go, oh, nobody's safe in correctional services so long as they have a medical condition. Everybody's got to be let out on bail. That will be the impetus and the feeling. But this set of allegations, and I stress that they are only allegations about sneaking sugar, gives the balance to say, well, this is why corrections are standing by their guns and saying, we are doing nothing wrong. At the time, Justice McIntyre said, I'm going to suppress it for now, and we'll talk about it at the end. We got a suppression order lifted along the way. You may remember the story I wrote saying that her rush to hospital that you talked about wasn't from a diabetic attack. Doctors had concluded that it was due to stress. We asked Justice McIntyre, can we report at least that to give balance to that moment, to make people understand? She agreed. So props to Justice McIntyre for making what I think is the sane decision yesterday and saying it's time now for the entire world to know this is why I decided bail. Yes, there are these allegations about her sneaking sugar and deliberately malingering, but I feel they're circumstantial and they're not enough to offset the presumption in favour of bail.
So, Sean, in terms of if the prosecution is correct when they assert that Mrs. Polymiadis is a deliberate malingerer and that she's basically, to put it in a non-legal sense, laying it on with the trowel when it comes to her physical ailments, what's the benefit to her from doing that? Because, you've covered hundreds and hundreds of court cases. Can a court case ever be sort of shut down because the accused is so unwell that they can't actually be prosecuted?
Absolutely. We talk all the time about someone being unfit to stand trial, and we talk about it in terms of Section 269 to do with mental incompetence. But there are actually areas of the law where you can be too physically infirm or frail to stand trial. Usually it tends to be age and dementia.
Right, yeah.
I can't imagine that it would...
That almost happened with Ivan Polyukovich, the war criminal, didn't it?
You got it.
Yeah.
So I doubt very highly that you would see something like diabetes, even mistreated diabetes, and not talking about Mrs. Polymiadis in person here, talking generally about diabetes. I can't imagine that diabetes would ever reach that threshold. I've seen people that have been brought into court who have type 2 diabetes, who have had a leg removed, who have rampant blood sugar levels and have still gone to jail and their trials have gone ahead. So I think here, if there were to be any benefit, it's the benefit of being home with her family, living with her son and actually managing her own diabetes, rather than, because the court heard she's someone who uses an insulin pump, that she uses the latest high-tech stuff, which is fantastic for diabetics who need it. You don't get that in prison. You get your insulin that everybody else gets. You get your medication that everybody else gets. There are some allegations out there that have been emailed to me that they treat everything with a Panadol in prison. And, that's one of the allegations that's out there in the assertions. So the benefit is having the autonomy to control your own physical well-being while you're waiting for a trial, which, let's face it, with the delays at the moment, could be a year or two away.
Which was going to be my next question. So with the bail component out the way, when does the trial proper happen?
How long is a piece of string? We'll come back to court in... This is the thing. The next hearing is the Magistrates Court hearing, which is Magistrates Court hearing number 2. So we're only that far along. She's had one appearance in the Magistrates Court, failed to get bail. Everything else has been this marathon in the Supreme Court. And Justice McIntyre said, we're about to set a record for how long a Supreme Court bail app has gone. It's gone over the space of several weeks.
Amazing.
And now we'll be back in December where it will simply be a determination date for the prosecution to say yes or no, we're continuing with the murder charge. The answer charge date is months away from that again.
Which it frames the whole conversation around the value of bail to her, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? Because would have been a lot of time in custody.
Very, very long time in custody.
Sean, really exciting news for Just Lawful because you're shifting to a new set of cases.
That's right. We're moving on. It's time to change gears again. And normally after doing something big and meaty like we've just finished, we tend to do a palate cleanser episode, something a bit lighter and more interesting. For very important reasons, we're not going to be doing that this time. We're shifting into something that we promised our listeners end of last year, haven't been able to do until this point. It's ready to go now. We're going to talk about the fact that 4 of the worst criminals of a particular type of crime set the record one after the other and then broke the record one after the other. And for all of the country, these are record breakers, and they're all South Australian.
Yeah, unfortunate feather in our cap, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunate record, that one. Just Lawful Sunday night or through the via wherever you get your podcasts from. Sean, great to have you in, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Lovely to see you in the studio.
Cheers,
it's
Sean.
11 to 8. We'll check traffic and come back with John Blake in just a moment.
Good morning. At Modbury, car is stuck on the Oban near Smart Road. Smart Road is closed at the moment. Busy, Southern Expressway inbound near Sheriff's Road. Slow for works at West Beach, Tapley's Hill Road near Bearbridge Road. Look out for cameras setting up at the moment. Lily Street, Blair Athol. Got one right now. Grey Terrace at Rosewater. The King Art of Living sale is on now. Save up to 50% on selected award-winning indoor and outdoor furniture. Sale on now. Visit the King Living Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Great news for people on the move. Budget Car and Truck Rental have a new location just north of the city at 354 North East Road, Clemzig. Open 7 days a week. So, if you're moving out or in, taking a load to the tip or going on a big trip, you can do it all with Budget Car and Truck Rental. 7 metro locations, including their new site at Clemzig. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Looking for delicious dinner inspirations? We'll go straight to Samtas Seafoods and create tasty winter treats.
And how's this? It won't break the bank. Grab the specially priced fresh gar fillets, just $43.99 a kilo. That's a stack of fillets, about 25 medium-large fillets plus. The old favourite, snap frozen kilo packs of your favourite seafood, 4 packs, mix and match, $60.
That's right, don't miss out on the budget-friendly Samtas 4 kilo for $60 quality seafood deal. Take your pick from snapper, John Dory, flathead and more.
And if you've got a craving for something with a bit of crunch, discover Samtas's seafoods variety. Try crumb favourites like prawns, calamari, garfish, salt and pepper squid or a whitebait fry-up, all part of the 4 kilo for $60 deal.
Samtas Seafoods is open 7 days a week, including Sundays, and they bring you fresh fish and freshly open oysters, factory direct, straight from the ocean.
Love going to Samtas. You can always catch the freshest catch there. Adelaide's ultimate seafood destination, factory direct, open 7 days a week at Richmond Road, Richmond.
Thinking of getting a solar battery? Well, sadly, they're not going to get cheaper like we thought 10 years ago. But the ability to pay them off is incredibly easier now than it was back then. I recommend getting in touch with NRG Solar to get a battery for your home with a 10-year warranty, blackout protection that will save you thousands of dollars, all visible on a simple-to-use app. Enjoy the feeling and benefits of owning a solar battery sooner. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
SEW Eurodrive, a global designer, developer and manufacturer of drive technology. With complete engineered solutions and after-sales technical support and service, they'll find the right solution for you. sew-eurodrive.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Maxima, offering employment and disability support services. Break down the barriers of NDIS. Go to maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes to 8. John Blake coming up in just a moment, but it is a Wednesday morning.
Give us the tea, Adelaide.
Building or renovating your first choice, you'll be visiting the Smeg showroom at Devney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. If you've got a rumour, we would like to hear it. 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us through your rumour, but you won't win the Smeg blender.
No, you got to get on the dog and bone, folks. This blend is sensational. Look at that lovely sort of what's that, eggshell blue.
You're the colours guy.
Well, I'm not
I don't
really.
know.
I was crapping on about chartreuse the other morning.
I struggle. Primary colours taps me out.
It was green, not orange. But no, that's like, I'd call that eggshell blue.
Okay.
I mean, I'd call it that.
If you've got a rumour for us, get calling now. You can remain entirely anonymous too. And remember, it doesn't need to be Watergate. It could just be something that's happening in your neighbourhood that people need to know about. People that's happening at your shopping centre, school, you name it. If you've got a bit of local information for us, we would like to hear it. And all those entries are in the running to win the blender this morning, thanks to the great people at SMEG. Time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And now, the top 5 reasons the voice referendum won't get up. Number 5. Because if it doesn't, Anthony Albanese might declare a public holiday so we can give ourselves a damn good talking to.
Number 4.
Because now that Port Adelaide are officially supporting the yes vote and the government won't give us all the details, people are really worried that Never Tear Us Apart may become the national anthem. So, number 3. Because it's like flat earthers and moon landing deniers. People deny what they don't understand, and most of us don't understand how Anthony Albanese became Prime Minister.
Number 2.
Because if we vote yes, the ABC will be convinced it actually influences people. And the number 1 reason the voice referendum won't get up, because people are completely sick and tired of misinformation and damned lies, and because everyone who votes no gets a free puppy. Thank you.
Well, I'm John Blake. After 8:30, we go behind closed doors. We've got an early rumour for the rumour, the SMEG rumour file this morning. Folder is on the line. Morning, Folder.
How are you?
Good, very well, thank you.
Good. In the not-too-distant future, I've been told that the councils will start charging by weight how much rubbish they collect and charge you accordingly.
Really? Well, that's going to make life interesting for those of us, and I say this with a vested interest here, with larger families.
Yeah.
Yes, well, all chaos will break hell if that happens.
Have you got a geographical location where this is being floated, Folder?
Think eastern suburbs.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, a few councils come to mind.
Yeah.
That would be, so how would that work in practice? What do you, rubbish trucks with...
How do you weigh it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because, you see the big waste away truck comes with its big arms, up goes the silo bin.
Trucks?
Maybe that would have a little weighing mechanism in there.
You could weigh it as it lifts.
Mm.
What a nightmare that'd be.
Yeah, the people go spare about that though. Nice if you've got a small family though. If you're a retiree,
yeah, we'd be some beneficiaries.
If you're an empty nester, not producing a sort of landfill's worth of waste every week.
I like that rumour, Folder.
That's a good one.
Well, watch that space. Well and truly in the running to win the SMEG blender this morning. We'll give it away at 9 o'clock. 3 to 8, and time for some more texts on the Dutton's text line. The Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace, the 7-seater that's perfect for weekends away, camping trips and the crazy Saturday sports rush.
One here from Mark in Highbury saying it's about time they put boom gates on the O-Bahn with the news that this clown has driven on the bus track. Every month it seems some drunk or some half-wit causes quite a bit of delays for bus passengers of up to 10 to 15 minutes per trip. And a tip here from Mark too. He says that on food prices at the football, he always used to take a thermos of pumpkin soup to the footy when he used to go down at Footy Park for those cold, wet nights. Remember how cold those metal seats used to be there?
It's sensational. I won't hear a bad word about
those
Footy Park.
Those seats were terrible.
They were great.
I think there's people
that was community.
Suffered permanent buttock damage from sitting on those chairs.
I think you can track the decline of modern society from the removal of those seats. We used to get along as people and sit shoulder to shoulder, and now everyone needs their individual space.
But there was no backrest on them.
Those seats and social media.
Is that right, Methuselah?
Yeah, that's right. 2 minutes to 8, breaking
Bring
late.
back
coming up
conscription.
Next. Yeah.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota forklift advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Toyota forklift.
We know how to turn on a light, but sometimes we forget to turn them off once we're in another room. With clever and low-cost home automation from Cosco Energy Group, you'll never have to remember. And paired with clever solar, battery storage and air conditioning solutions, you could also save some serious dollars. Experience the solutions at the Cosco Energy Group's interactive showroom, 336 South Road, Croydon Park. KOZCO, Cosco Energy Group.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
Gliderol Garage Doors have been manufacturing and installing doors in SA since 1974. From roller doors and sectional doors to customer designer doors and timber doors, the Gliderol range allows you to upgrade the street appeal of your home to any style. We also supply and install insulated sectional doors. Aside from the perfect smooth finish, insulated doors provide thermal and acoustic benefits. Call Gliderol on 1300 799 177 or visit gliderol.com.au.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers developing a high of 20. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
South Australia's road tolls risen again after the death of a teenager near Border Town. Emergency crews were called to Senior Road last night after reports of a single-car rollover. The 17-year-old boy's death is the 74th life lost on our roads, compared to 46 a year ago. A drunk driver's lost his licence after getting stuck on the O-Bahn at Modbury this morning. The 30-year-old man from Beulah Park allegedly blew .152. He's been reported for drink driving and lost his licence for 12 months. The O-Bahn's currently closed for city-bound traffic between Modbury and Paradise. 7 News reporter Peter Caldicott's there and says a crane will have to be brought in to remove the vehicle.
I'm standing on Smart Road and I'm looking down the O-Bahn, and about 300 or 400 metres down you can see where the driver's finished up. It looks like a black twin cab ute, pretty much on its side, and it's definitely wedged in the O-Bahn track.
It's been revealed the former husband of the woman who hosted the deadly mushroom lunch in Victoria almost died last year when he suffered a mystery gut illness. Isabella Stashkovsky reports.
Simon Patterson is the ex-husband of Erin Patterson, the woman who cooked the deadly mushroom meal, which killed his parents and auntie and has left his uncle fighting for life in hospital. On social media, he wrote, "I collapsed at home. There was in an induced coma for 16 days, through which I had 3 emergency operations, mainly on my small intestine." It's worth noting there is currently no suggestion his hospitalisation is linked to this investigation. Police, meanwhile, are this morning focusing on a dehydrator found at a local tip. It's been sent for forensic testing.
The survivor of a fatal house fire says her sister was worried about smoke alarms in the home. Connie Campbell and her sister Samantha Stevenson managed to escape the Russell Island fire, which claimed the lives of 6 others. Connie says she didn't hear the smoke alarms activate and had to jump off the balcony to escape the flames. Drinking one or more sugary drinks every day may increase your risk of liver disease. Gail Watson explains.
A team of international researchers studied more than 98,000 postmenopausal women between 50 and 79 years in the United States. They found those who consumed one or more servings of sugary drinks per day had a significantly higher risk of liver cancer and death from liver disease compared with people who consumed 3 or fewer servings of sugar-sweetened beverages per month. The researchers did not find an increase in these risks from artificially sweetened drinks. They say future studies should identify the biological pathways of these associations.
And thousands of people have gathered in Ireland to bid farewell to musician Sinead O'Connor. A funeral procession passed large crowds along the seafront in the town of Bray, where she lived for 15 years, as it made its way to a private funeral service. She died last month in London at the age of 56. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. The Matildas will face France in Saturday's World Cup quarter-final in Brisbane after the world number 5 ranked side defeated Morocco 4-0. Football Australia is delighted with the way the tournament has panned out on home soil as co-host with New Zealand. Chief Executive James Johnson has told Nine's Today Show he's confident the Matildas have what it takes to go all the way.
We've been preparing for this moment for the past 2.5 years, so the Matildas have played every single top 10 ranked team in the world, so there's no team that the Matildas will play at the back end of this tournament they haven't already seen, so they're prepared as well as they can.
And last night's other game saw Colombia beat Jamaica 1-0. To football, and Adelaide will be without defender Chase Jones for the rest of the season. High-performance manager Darren Burgess telling the club's website he suffered a nasty foot injury against Gold Coast.
Unfortunately, Chase sustained a Liz Frank fracture in his foot during a tackle in the game on the weekend, so that rules him out for the season, and he'll undergo surgery at some point this week to correct that and have a period of time off legs.
Meantime, Port Adelaide is set to be without defender Trent McKenzie until finals after he suffered a PCL injury against Geelong. Let's go to tennis, and former world number 1 Caroline Wozniacki has made a winning return to the sport almost 4 years after her last match, beating Aussie Kim Birrell in straight sets at the Canada Open. And the Boomers will play the University of Houston in Cairns this morning, continuing preparations for the Men's Basketball World Cup. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
It's the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's biggest grand prize ever. Visit homelottery.com.au.
G'day there. Look out at Modbury for a car which is stuck on the O-Bahn. That's near Smart Road. Smart Road is currently closed. Got some pretty solid delays at the moment on the Southern Expressway inbound just near Sheriff's Road. Quite busy at West Beach too. Tapley's Hill Road near Burbridge Road for work. Speeds at 40. And look out for cameras. Marshall Terrace, Brooklyn Park. And got one setting up right now, Grey Terrace at Rosewater. See your local Goodyear Auto Care experts for all your tyre and service needs. Plus your chance to win the ultimate 2023 NRL Grand Final package for 2. Conditions apply. See in store for details. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing a high of 20, a shower or two tomorrow down to 15. Cloudy on Friday, also 15, and showers returning on Saturday, 16. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Mamma mia, here I go again. Maximum.
Shortly, we'll check in with Greg Jenkins. You'll know the Anna Jenkins case in Malaysia that, from everything we've heard, reported and seen, it sounds like it was appallingly managed and investigated by the Malaysian authorities, so much so now that the Jenkins are seeking to take the authorities to court. We'll talk about that after 8:30. We'll go behind closed doors as well. In case you're wondering how the banks are doing in the midst of our cost of living crisis at the moment, the Commonwealth Bank just announced their after-tax profit for the year ending June 30, $10.16 billion. Now, to give you some sort of a marker of how that's tracking, it's about $500 million higher than it was at the same point last year.
Staggering, isn't it?
So banks do well when rates are going up.
Yes, yes. Well, they're good at putting the rates up. Not so good at putting up the savings of interest rates. Interest rates on your savings.
Well, they can't afford. The margin's slim, you see. Businesses are doing it tough.
That's
so
right.
You wouldn't want to flirt with your $10 billion margin, would you?
You wouldn't want to make $9 billion profit.
Yeah, well, no. Well,
right.
how would you go explaining that to your boss?
Exactly. Well, sadly, though, in the rapacious capitalist system we inhabit, the bosses are the shareholders, aren't they?
All that said, mirth aside, I would still rather our 4 banks being as strong as they are compared to...
Well, the alternative is,
Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of the other banks in the United States. Credit Suisse.
Yeah.
The banks have had issues recently, so...
What was the one that went under in the GFC? Was it
Lehman Brothers? Yeah.
Bear Stearns?
Bear
Was that one?
Stearns. There's a few of them that went under there.
Yeah,
all right, let's...
and part of the reason they went under was they give money to anyone.
That's right. Not which, people who tried to get a loan here recently will know. Our standards have been pretty high. Pretty high. All right, let's go breaking it.
Well, the 2025 federal election is looking more and more like, in large part, it's going to be a contest over energy policy, with the federal opposition moving closer to adopting a formal position of embracing nuclear power. There's a really interesting piece in The Australian this morning with a Queensland Coalition MP talking about how they now have advanced plans to advocate the rollout of these small sort of module-style nuclear reactors, cheap and cheerful, safe versions that can be basically plugged into the grid, as is done in a lot of countries like Canada and France, 2 very progressive countries that, despite having had pretty left-wing governments for the better part of the last 20-odd years, are very comfortable with the use of this small modern nuclear technology. I actually think it's at the point where a lot of South Australians would regard this as a missed opportunity for our state if we don't insert ourselves at the forefront of any national push. The Liberals are talking about at the moment, and this is with one eye firmly on those seats with traditional blue collar working class communities who've historically voted Labor, but are also dependent on coal. That's in places like the Hunter Valley and in parts of Queensland, where a lot of those old-fashioned Labor voters are becoming fed up with the sort of inner city sort of ideology that is now the dominant stream of thought in the ALP when it comes to energy. The Libs are likely to go so far as to say specifically that in these seats we will phase out coal, and in return we will implement these module-style reactors as a way of cutting emissions. One other interesting thing is, as part of the coverage this morning in The Australian, there's a really interesting poll, and look, it was done by the Minerals Council of Australia, so maybe they had a bit of a, we're going to ask the questions and hopefully get the right answers. With that small caveat though, the numbers are vast. The question, to what extent do you support or oppose nuclear power as an energy source in Australia? Strongly support 22%, somewhat support 23%. That's 45%. Then neutral/don't know, 32%.
Wow.
So you've only got 9% somewhat oppose or strongly oppose.
Are they all in Labor's left faction?
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, I mean, sadly, one of them is Anthony Albanese. One of them's Tanya Plibersek, who when...
That staggers me, that number. I would have thought the opposition was still more widespread.
Well, the don't knows are really heartening, because you only need to flip about 7% of them, you've got a 50% majority of people saying, bring it on.
I don't begrudge anyone that has qualms about it, who are certainly in a certain age demographic, who spent their entire lives being terrified of anything nuclear. I think it's actually a totally reasonable human response to go nuclear. I don't know. My whole life's been scared about the end of the world. Legitimately so.
But you're talking to one of them. Like, you don't have to... I can remember 1983, I reckon it came out. One of the smash hits of that summer was a movie called The Day After. And then
I totally get it.
3 years after that, Chernobyl cacked itself. So it was well and truly, for people in their 50s, they got really strong memories of the prospect of nuclear war being seen as real.
There are 440 reactors currently operating in 32 countries around the world, and there are currently 60 of them that are being built as we speak in 15 more countries.
We've got a premier who, with some caveats, is pro-nuclear. We've got an opposition leader who is pro-nuclear. So, I mean, hopefully Peter Malinauskas can do the talking behind the scenes, and I mean, you know, Labor, in a policy sense, they've provided some of the greatest hysterical moments, you know, with energy. What was the three mines policy? It was the stupidest,
ludicrous,
half-pregnant sort of position ever. But with Albo and Plibersek et al. Representing the old guard of Labor thinking, it's going to be interesting to see if the ALP can turn the ship around, because public sentiment has certainly shifted.
G'day there, look.
Saudi Arabia had the 3 oil derricks policy. 30 minutes after 8. Love to hear your thoughts, folks. 8223 You can text us on the Duttons text line. The rumours are flowing at the moment. We have the Smeg blender up for grabs. Building or renovating, your first choice should be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. We'll get to some more of those shortly. Huge reaction to a rumour that came through before the news that weighted rubbish collection might be something that's trialled to eventually become a reality in South Australia. It's about as popular as you might imagine. The other thing that's about as popular as weighted rubbish collection is roadworks. Certainly that goes at least doubly so if you're a small business that's been inconvenienced by them. We've been covering extensively the plight of businesses at Jetty Road at Grange, where there have been roadworks ongoing there for an extended period of time, and extended too without much consultation with the businesses there. One of those is Alex Kosteriadis, who's the owner of the excellent Glam Nutrition Club. Alex, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
I'm good, mate.
This is like a slow-moving glacier watching this happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is, mate. Hasn't been nice.
So it's a council roadwork operation.
That's correct.
And what was the original finish date that they'd said?
Well, originally it was May. By the end of May, they would have had, like, in front of our shop done. And now we're in August. Yeah.
And I've been down there recently. It doesn't look like it's particularly close to being finished either.
Well, they're rushing along now. We're getting closer and closer. So hopefully by the end of this week we'll have a lot of progress where it's 99% done. So that's just in front of our shop, though.
What's the communication been like with you and so the other businesses there?
Well, I came here in November, so I missed the initial meeting. But then we had an early meeting end of the year. And since then, we were told it's going to be weekly communication. And then since then, we weren't contacted till about June. So,
well, maybe they've been too busy holding meetings about whether we should hold citizenship ceremonies on January 26, or talking about what they're going to do about the yes vote.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on core business when you can get into nation building instead.
Alex, can you paint the picture for our listeners that aren't local to the Grange area of the sort of impact? Because there's Dulwich Bakery, there's a physio there, there's a hairdresser, there's a coffee shop, there's a sort of a little grocer there as well. Just describe for people that don't know the area what it's been like trying to trade in these last 6 months.
Well, we focus, like a lot of our business comes from our locals in the community. So the whole of Jetty Street's been blocked off, and that's a thoroughfare from the eastern side to coming towards the beach. So, and we've got a Grange Primary School down the road. So the thoroughfare, this is a main street for a lot of the community, and being blocked off, I mean, even our major clientele that comes all the time, our regulars, they found it so hard even to get to our street, because every entrance is almost blocked off. So it's been pretty difficult, battling winter's hard enough, and then you've got the road blockages everywhere. And that's the main thing, like a lot of us traders didn't count on, is Jetty Street being blocked off further down, which stopped the traffic flow. So that's hurt a lot too.
That's totally unacceptable. And I suppose for loss of income, you don't get any compensation from the council, do you? Do they reduce your rates at least?
No.
What a pack of bludgers.
So when do you think, what do you reckon it'll be done by the end of this month?
Yeah. So they're predicting Thursday, Friday to lay the asphalt in front of our in front of our shop. So that's the major part. So that's like 99% done. Then there's just a bit of greenery and tidying up, I guess.
Oh, only 3 or 4 months late. I guess it's only your money, isn't it?
So the people, I guess, that we lose is the ones we don't know that, might want to come here for the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the ones we don't know about. The regulars will tell us, but, the loss of trade of the new business, that's what we can't gauge. So.
Yeah, I bet.
I tell you what, I could drive blindfolded down that street. I used to do school pick-up there every afternoon, and I'd always go and get a coffee from Sam at that little coffee shop on the corner when my older kids went to Grange Primary School. Lovely part of Adelaide. Beautiful street.
We walk
with
down there all the time.
Those beautiful, they're Norfolk Island pines on that street, aren't they?
So pretty. Yeah,
it's a lovely
it's really
street.
nice. But
beautiful houses.
You haven't been able to get access to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Footpath sometimes as well. It looks like to drive past it, you go, well, there's just no way you can get there. And you can see there's no on-street parking.
It would affect businesses further out too. Like around the corner on Military Road, like old Jack's Chicken, great barbecue chickens there, but a lot of people, I'm not bloody going there, I'll go somewhere else for a while. It's terrible.
Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Good on you, mate.
Alex Costeriadis is the owner of the Glam Nutrition Club there. If you're in the area, go in and buy yourself a nice healthy shake or something or other.
Sue in Henley, Will, is on your side, is the hard man of football furniture. I was saying, didn't miss the old metal seats at Footy Park. Sue writes, on with you, Will. Supporters are soft these days.
Exactly.
Those seats did have backs, but I go back to sitting on the cement terraces on the outer of Footy Park. Those were the days.
Yeah,
Good on you, Sue.
That's when everything was good. When,
Bit of HTFU for me there from Sue. Good stuff.
A lot of love of the weighted rubbish collection coming through on the Dutton's text line either.
No, none, in fact.
Talk about the end of community. I mean, I said the decline of society started with the removal of the metal benches at Footy Park.
John in St Peter's says weighing rubbish could not possibly work. People with a lot of rubbish will put it in someone else's bin. Imagine that, particularly in St Peter's.
If the lock
you'd go out, you'd find someone had thrown their unwanted Manolo Blahnik shoes out in your blue bin. Tuck them in under a pile of uneaten foie gras. Buried them under a mountain of empty bottles of Saint Henri.
Community is dead if you can't use your neighbour's bin any longer.
Especially on Harrow Road.
20 after 8. We're going to check traffic. David Kosh next.
Thanks, Will. At Modbury, a car is stuck on the O-Bahn near Smart Road. Smart Road is closed at the moment. Busy in a couple of spots this morning, including Anzac Highway at Marion Road, also South Road at Theberton. We are slow for works at the moment at West Beach, Tapley's Hill Road near Burbridge Road. Speeds at 40 with cameras today. Addison Road, Pennington. I've got one right now, Grey Terrace at Rosewater. It's the 40 Winks Sleep event of the year. Get up to 50% off mattresses and up to 30% off furniture, plus free local delivery. Hurry, limited time only. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Campo, you've done a lot of work on the both clubs, where the free kicks are paid, in what zones, you've got some numbers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, if you look at Port Adelaide, we know they're the number one free kick against in the competition. They've given up 37 goals from free kicks. That's a fair bit.
Rowie and Timmy G.
Adelaide, on the flip side, they're the second most. They've given up 28.
Oh, you give this. You know what? I could have guessed that.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
You've decided to build? It's exciting stuff. When you've found land, it's a good idea to get advice on what you can build on your new parcel of paradise. Get Steve from Beechwood Homes to take a look. There's no obligation, and you'll get a great understanding of what's possible. Sloping block, flat block, weird shaped block, or block on a cliff. Speak with Steve from Beechwood Homes for all the possibilities. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Winter is almost over, and it's time to get ready for some huge electricity bills. I recommend getting in touch with NRG Solar now to help bring those power bills down, way down, with a solar battery. And NRG will show you how to do it sooner. Add value to your home with a battery that comes with a 10-year warranty and blackout protection that will save you thousands of dollars. All visible on a simple-to-use app. Visit nrgsolar.com.au to own a solar battery sooner.
South Australia wouldn't be South Australia without its businesses big and small. And when it comes to business broking, there's a big name you can't miss, Ray White Business Sales.
What makes Ray White the big name in business broking? Well, it's the people. People like MBA lecturer, multi-award-winning SA Business Broker of the Year, Brett Buckley, and his team of business professionals.
They take a deep dive into your business, finding value and potential, and they know what they're looking for because they know businesses.
And look, they're not real estate salespeople trying to sell businesses. They're business people selling businesses. Brett and his team take your business apart, find you more money, and we're not talking small change. And look, a big thanks to Brett Buckley and the whole team at Ray White Business Sales, who last week kindly donated $1,500 to the Undy Drive.
If you want to know what your business is worth, touch base with Brett and his team. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Over 60,000 Adelaide homes have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, Your Energy Saving Solutions. What's keeping you? Your Energy Saving Solutions can connect you with the SA government initiative called REPS. To save money on heating this winter, Yes is offering eligible households a 2.6 kilowatt Rinnai system for only $699. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from Your Energy Saving Solutions, go to yes.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 after 8. Greg Jenkins on the case now against the Malaysian government that his family's bringing. We'll talk about that after 8:30. But first...
And they could never tear us apart.
Are you superstitious, Koshy? Did you break a mirror? You step on the cracks? I don't know.
It felt like it before the game, just before the game, when I heard that Finlayson and Bergman were out because of illness, and it was one of those games where nothing went right for you. Certainly with the back line decimated, forward line decimated, but I'll tell you what, I was really proud of the guys, particularly the midfield. I thought just shot the lights out. So, there was, after a disappointing couple of losses, there were some really good signs out of Saturday. Would have loved to have won, would have loved it to have been a miracle at Cardinia, but wasn't to be. But I thought there were good signs. Of course, you're disappointed with any loss, and there's no excuse. And the bounce of the ball in a whole lot of areas didn't go our way. But anyhow, we move on.
Not just the bounce of the ball, but the way the nature of the interpretations as well. But can I ask you about that, Koshy?
That's a very, very polite way of putting it.
Well, you guys
I'm glad you said it.
But you guys have asked for a bit of a please explain from the umps about some of the decisions. I was talking to my teenage son about this day. He said Port's got the most frees against of any team in the comp, and then I think the Crows are second.
Yes, that's in the SANFL, but in by a long way.
Funny.
Both are massively against. But in the AFL, we're certainly the four, which sometimes is a bit baffling for a top 14. You'd think we'd play the game pretty well. But anyhow, that's not for me to comment, of course.
Fighting every fibre of your being not to comment.
Yeah, it's been noted. Yeah.
Koshy, there's been a bit of reporting, I use it in inverted commas, more rumour and scuttlebutt about Ken Hinkley and the football club in the last 7 days. Some suggestion there may have been a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's a deal coming, don't stress. Little agreement. Another was firmer, suggesting maybe a 2-year extension has been verbally agreed to. Would you care to, either say that's accurate or dispute it?
No, I won't say anything. But we always said we'd have discussions in August. We planned that from the very start. Discussions are ongoing at the moment, and when we've got something to announce, we'll announce it. But
so something could be imminent.
Well, we said in August that we'd start discussions in August, and I think it would be silly not to do it before finals because you just don't want that distraction. So we always said there'd be a discussion and a decision in August, and at this stage, there's no reason for me to think otherwise.
Well, it's totally in line with what you said on this this very spot on our show at the start of the year, mate.
Yep, absolutely. And look, we try and be a club that sticks to its word, but also has a process, is very methodical about it. We look at the data and we make decisions based on the data and what is for the best of the club going forward. And we just don't think week to week. We think 4, 5, 10-year plans and what could eventuate during them. Now, you never know with football clubs, but that's the process we're going through at the moment. We have our own timetable. We'll stick to it. I know everybody else wants us to fit into their timetable, but we'll stick with ours, which we think is in the best interest of the club.
Fair enough. That's the way to run it.
Yep.
Good stuff, David Koch, Port Chairman. Okay. We always keep saying Sunrise host, Dave. I would have this guy hard. Roo says it every day.
Did you see Koshy, the Matildas? Monday night they're saying they pulled Sunrise-like numbers from back in your time there.
Well, no, a lot bigger than Sunrise numbers. It was just fantastic and great for women's sport all up.
Superb. Absolutely unreal. Good on you, Koshy.
Thanks, Dave.
Port Adelaide Football Club Chairman David Koch. Right at 8:30, 5AA News Time.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
What's the best thing about winter? Definitely the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Get super cozy with up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off our entire range of curtains and blinds, including our energy-efficient window coverings. With Bob Burns Blinds, you'll get that quality show home look, and you'll save money on energy bills by trapping the heat in your home. Get set for winter now with a Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Book your free measure and quote at bobburnsblinds.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers developing, a high of 20. With the 8:30 news, I'm Kendall Brenty.
Complete windscreen supply and fit, front, rear and door glass. Proudly South Australian since 1976.
The Commonwealth Bank has posted a record profit of more than $10 billion. Clinton Maynard has details.
The economy might be heading towards challenging times, but Australia's biggest bank is surging. The CBA has posted a net profit of $10.16 billion for the last financial year. That's up 6%. It's a new record, beating the previous of 9.88 posted in 2017. But Chief Executive Matt Conran warns rising interest rates and the cost of living is resulting in consumer demand easing, and they're monitoring the impact on small and medium-sized business customers.
A teenager has died after a crash near Bordertown last night. His car rolled on Senior Road. The 17-year-old from Senior died at the scene. His death is the 74th life lost on our roads compared to 46 at the same time last year. Another car's become stuck on the Oban at Modbury. Senior Constable Rhett Davies says they were called around 2 a.m. after reports a ute was stuck on the tracks.
Police located a man walking along the tracks away from the vehicle who just happened to be the vehicle's owner and submitted him to an alka test. The 30-year-old man from Beulah Park returned a positive reading of .152, that's 3 times the legal limit. He was reported for drink driving and also lost his licence for 12 months and will appear at Adelaide Magistrates Court at a later date.
2 men have been arrested after a 23-year-old was allegedly shot at during a street fight at Elizabeth Park yesterday. The victim suffered minor facial injuries in the assault, which happened on Midway Road. The suspects were found inside a nearby home and arrested without incident. A 28-year-old and a 40-year-old have been charged with aggravated robbery and firearms offences. They'll face court today. Workers are being warned their bosses could be spying on them while they're working at home. A woman employed for 18 years at an insurance company has been sacked after her employer started tracking how often she was typing. Employment lawyer Nick Dougal was told today most businesses have the right to monitor staff.
The first thing that I would suggest employees do is to check the terms of their contract and also their workplace policies. Their workplace policies should set out the extent to which employers are entitled to monitor uses of equipment that they give their employees.
A federal independent senator's calling for Australian musicians to be given a fair go. David Pocock will table a bill in Parliament today in a bid to remove a 1% cap on the amount of money an artist can earn from having their song played on commercial radio. Senator Pocock says songwriters and composers aren't limited by the cap, and it's not fair for recording artists to have their earnings restricted.
We should be really proud of Australian music and ensure that we are treating them with respect and allowing them to negotiate just like every other profession is able to negotiate.
And there's another chance to get Paul McCartney tickets today. The second pre-sale's happening through Ticketek. Sale times are staggered around the country with tickets for the SA concert coming online at 2:30. The former Beatles playing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre on October the 18th. Tickets go on sale to the general public on Friday. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Well, Port Adelaide Chairman David Koch has given his strongest indication yet. Ken Hinckley will remain as coach at Alberton beyond this season. The Power has said all year they'd put contract talks on hold until August, and Koch has told David and Will now that it's here, they want to move swiftly.
Well, we said in August that we'd start discussions in August, and I think it would be silly not to do it before finals because you just don't want that distraction.
The Power takes on GWS this Sunday at home, looking to snap a 4-game losing streak that would lock in a top 4 spot. Well, the Matildas are now locked in to play France in Saturday evening's World Cup quarter-final in Brisbane after the France side beat Morocco 4-0 here in Adelaide. There's debate about whether Sam Kerr should be ushered straight back into the starting lineup, given the form the current starting players are in. Former Matilda Emily Junick has told Wide World of Sports Kerr's absence has brought out the best in Arsenal forward Caitlin Ford.
What's crazy is the eruption for Sam Kerr when she came on, but we can't forget about the eruption every time Caitlin Ford touched the ball. We're witnessing greatness right there. She's delivered over and over again.
And there was one other match last night with Colombia advancing to the quarterfinals where they'll now take on England. That's after they had a 1-0 win against Jamaica. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
It's the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's biggest grand prize ever. Visit homelottery.com.au.
At Brownhill Creek, got a big double, which is broken down on the freeway down track. Seeing delays around there. Modbury car is stuck on the Oban near Smart Road. Smart Road is closed at the moment. Quite busy Anzac Highway at Marion Road. Slow South Road at Theberton with the camera Lily Streets at Blarathal. Feel like a coffee? Enjoy a freshly ground barista-made quality coffee from OTR. Order on the OTR app and it's as easy as click and collect. OTR. Making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Showers developing, a high of 20 today, a shower or two tomorrow down to 15, cloudy on Friday also 15, and showers returning on Saturday 16. At the moment 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Babe, why is there a boat in our driveway?
Yes.
And new golf clubs in the laundry?
Right, well-
And do you know anything about a holiday
Yeah.
booking in the Maldives?
Yeah, babe.
Did we win the lottery?
Babe.
Did you get a promotion?
Babe.
Oh no, you're having a midlife crisis.
Babe, chill. I went to Cosco Energy Group.
Cosco?
Yeah, KOZCO. They've installed a new solar system on the roof, so now we're saving on power.
Cosco Energy Group, the experts at reducing your power costs. Cosco.com.au.
Babe, why is there a motorbike helmet on the table?
If you thought it was tricky to source a great deal on a new Volkswagen, think again. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen's demo clearance is on now. We've loaded up on a massive range of demo Volkswagens available for delivery right now. Loads of colours, loads of options, plus on-site finance options available. And remember, we offer next day servicing too. So hurry! The Volkswagen demo clearance won't last. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Maxima, disability employment and support for NDIS participants. Learn more today at maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 to 9. Wondering what you think, Port fans. We've just had the chairman of the Port Adelaide Football Club, David Koch, on the program, who's given the strongest indication yet that Ken Hinkley will not only be re-signed, but it will happen before the finals. 8223 for your thoughts. You can text us too on the Dutton's text line, the Volkswagen Tiguan All-Space, the 7-seater that's perfect for weekends away camping trips and the crazy Saturday sports rush. Have a listen.
We always said we'd have discussions in August. We planned that from the very start. Discussions are ongoing at the moment, and when we've got something to announce, we'll announce it. But
so something could be imminent.
Well, we said in August that we'd start discussions in August, and I think it would be silly not to do it before finals because you just don't want that distraction. So we always said there'd be a discussion and a decision in August, and at this stage, there's no reason for me to think otherwise.
Now, there's a component of that I think there's a large number of Port fans who will take issue with, and that is the contention that it's silly to not do it before finals.
Well, what if they don't win?
The chief criticism of Ken Hinkley has not been his capacity to win games in the regular season. That's not in question. It's his capacity to win games in September. Love to know what Port Adelaide fans think. 8223 text us on the Dutton's text line.
That is a very, very big story. There's no bigger story right now in the world of football here than the Hinkley contract, and that is as good as confirmation direct from the chairman of the Port Adelaide Football Club that it's going to be announced within weeks.
We'll open the text line and the phone too. 8223 Remembering too, we do have some SMEG rumours to get to. Building or renovating, your first choice should be in the SMEG showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with a SMEG. We had a great one before 8 o'clock. We'll recap that and take some more rumours before 9 o'clock before giving away the blender.
Well, it's a case that has caused great embarrassment to the Malaysian authorities, none more so than the local police, who were tasked with handling and did a particularly poor job of handling the investigation into the disappearance and presumed murder of Adelaide grandmother Anna Jenkins in Penang back in 2017. Her son Greg has done an amazing job on behalf of his late mother and their family. Repeated trips back to Malaysia, hellish and drawn-out court process trying to get to the bottom of what actually occurred, and now in a what I think is hopefully a heartening development, the manner in which the recent coronial inquest was handled is being looked into again. We have Greg on the line now. Greg, good morning, mate. Great catching up with you again, albeit on such a depressing topic, and the perseverance that you've shown for your mum is extraordinary. But tell us, what is this latest court case, and what are you hoping to achieve from it?
Morning, guys. We're kind of running two separate cases at the moment. So first off, we're challenging the coroner's decision. Obviously, you guys have followed it, and it was a bit of a farcical. So we're trying to say that Mum was kidnapped and murdered as per all the indications, and then separately we're also taking civil action against the Malaysian government, the Malaysian police force, and also the development group where I found Mum's remains.
So in terms of how this the new trials are kicking off, there's already been a few delays and hiccups with that, haven't there, Greg?
Just a couple. So there's the reason for the delay is because of how bad the last inquest went. They're still missing court documents. They're missing exhibits. A prime example is Mum's skull fragment has been lost by the Malaysian police, or misplaced, or destroyed. They won't admit to what's happening with that, and that's crucial to determine whether or not Mum was murdered, which we strongly believe.
Oh, unbelievable! I just from a human dignity perspective, how can they lose something that important or misplace it?
Look, we sit here and scratch our head. Like if we wrote a book, it would almost be in the fantasy section. It's almost unbelievable that a crucial bit of evidence, can be misplaced, and now they've stopped all communication with us. So it makes the job even more difficult.
Greg, over the years too, we've seen some fairly colourful or questionable Australians who have ended up receiving legal assistance through the Commonwealth when they've landed themselves in strife, things like drug dealing and what have you overseas. But in terms of any actual meaningful support for your family, and I know how much vast amount of money you've spent on travel and legal representation and travelling around Malaysia trying to amass evidence yourself, but in terms of any legal support as you fight these battles, you haven't really had anything from the Commonwealth, have you?
No, nothing. We put in a request under special circumstances to try and get some legal assistance. We got notification back that we meet all the requirements. However, it's denied because I've still got an income which should supplement the pay. So so it was a little bit disappointing in that you've got these systems set up to support cases like this, and it's not just Mum's case, there's others. But I don't know what the criteria is other than bankruptcy to get any assistance at all.
Because are you going back up there again for the resumption of the trial?
I will be. So I'm here at the moment. I was hoping to get more results from this trip, but the next date set is the 26th of September. So I'll go back, have a chat with Jen, my sister, and then recalibrate and go again.
Yeah. Geez, mate, you must know Penang like the back of your hand now. How many times have you been up there? About 30?
42.
42 trips?
Outrageous. Yeah. Jeez, and that's the problem is every time they do put it off, I can't stay here because obviously I've got to go back to work.
Yeah.
And then,
Wow.
So each trip costs us around $15,000 in court fees, lawyer fees, flights, accommodation.
It's unbelievable. Well, Greg, all the very best, mate. We'll stay in touch. We've been talking about this for a long time together now, and good luck with it all, and keep us abreast of any developments.
Absolutely. Thanks again for all your support. Really appreciate it.
No, not at all, mate. Good on you, Greg. Greg Jenkins there, son of the late Anna Jenkins, on what is an enduring mystery that should be a hell of a lot less mysterious.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Now, Joe in Modbury Heights has called into the program following an interview with the chairman of the Port Adelaide Football Club, David Koch, just before 8:30. He confirmed that there will likely be news on Ken Hinkley's contract extension before finals toward the end of this month. He said that would make sense. There are discussions ongoing at the moment, and it sounds like something is very, very close to being announced. So we're asking Port fans your instant reaction to what you've heard. Joe in Modbury Heights has called in. Morning, Joe.
Morning. How does it make sense to sign the coach up before the finals? He may not even make the bloody prelim or semi-finals. It'll be worse than last year. Then they want to sign him up again? Are you crazy?
It surprises
What's
me.
wrong with him?
That has been the chief criticism of Ken Hinkley. What happens in finals?
Okay, if he surely if they sign him up, it cannot be more than 12 months. Because what happens if he fails next year? They're going to lose a lot of supporters here. This is crazy. You Crow supporters must be laughing. I've had enough. Bloody hell.
Joe, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
8223 0000 the number. For your thoughts, you can text us to on the Duttons text line. We'll get to some of those in just a moment. And also some SMEG rumours right after traffic.
Thanks, Will. At Brown Hill Creek, a B-double has broken down on the freeway down track. Seeing delays around there. Modbury, a car is stuck on the O-Bahn near Smart Road. Smart Road is closed right now. Anzac Highway at Marion Road, pretty busy. Quite slow. South Road at Theberton with cameras Addison Road, Pennington, and Midway Road at Elizabeth Park. Flight Centre's first and business experts will make light work of booking a luxury holiday that's perfectly tailored to you. Call a Flight Centre first and business expert on 1300 038 785. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA Mornings today, Pauline Hanson on the Mitcham Council and their $40,000 to the Voice campaign. Rhonda Birchmore will join us as well, and we'll look at back pain, why treatments aren't working, and the new science offering hope. All that and lots more. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Look forward to your company from 9.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Some builders think a sloping block has limitations. When Beechwood Homes look at a sloping block, they think, the possibilities. Beechwood Homes know how to make the most of a sloping block. In fact, they specialise in them. Beechwood will design a home that works with the land you have, taking full advantage of every square metre. So if you're looking at a sloping block, go for it. Beechwood has your back. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Now, have you seen the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's newest grand prize?
It's their biggest grand prize ever, and you get to choose between the $5 million Hyde Park grand prize or the $4.5 million in cash.
I saw it the other day. It looks stunning. So the question, though, move in or cash out? That's the ultimate choice.
It really is. I mean, what a dilemma, hey? How would you live with yourself? The $5 million grand prize is an incredible designer family home in Hyde Park. It comes fully furnished and with $100,000 in cash.
Look at that. You just walk down to Melt and say, "G'day, Justin. I'll have the most expensive bottle of wine you've got and all of your pizzas." But look, if that's not what you're after, you can take $4.5 million in cash and live the life you've always imagined.
Plus, every ticket goes in over 10,000 draws to win. There's luxury cars, cash and holidays, to name a few.
Every ticket bought helps improve treatments and care for every South Australian.
Get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au.
G'day. It's Baz from Fleurieu Milk Company. South Australian dairy farmers are doing it tough right now, but at Fleurieu Milk we always look after our own, and you can too. When you reach for milk, reach for Fleurieu Milk and help support our hard-working South Australian dairy farmers and their families. Because right now, they need our help. 3 words make all the difference. Fleurieu Milk Company. South Australian first and proud of it.
What is Luva House? Simple. Luva House turns your outdoor area into a stunning entertainment space with an opening and closing roof. With rain sensors, you'll keep winter out. And when you need to, you can let the light in, so you can be outdoors and entertain all year round. Best of all, they're manufactured right here in SA with options like LED lighting. But you be the judge. Find out more with a free design, measure and quote. See the light with FIVEAA House. FIVEAAhouse.com.au.
Maxima, offering employment and disability support services. Break down the barriers of NDIS. Go to maxima.com.au.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 9. Dutton's text line's exploding following our chat with David Koch about the what sounds like imminent announcement regarding Ken Hinkley's future. It will be done and dusted before finals this year. Discussions happening as we speak. Hole Punch, though, has called in as part of the Wednesday morning SMEG rumour file. Hole Punch, good morning.
Good morning, Will and Dave. Last week, now this is going back to this problem with the horses, the police horses, but last week I saw, which I thought was two greys coming down the southern side of Shepherd's Hill Conservation Park. We're on the north side, and these two horses are walking down a well-used, it's a road, because vehicles can use it.
This is the road that cuts through the middle of Dingley Dell there. Yeah, I know that road.
You know, okay, and at the bottom, at the base, there is a large area which has horses normally, I suppose, registered, whatever you call it, and to see those horses, and I'm sure they were police constables, and by the time I got my binoculars, they'd actually gone behind the gum trees. But I think of all the problems of where to house the horses, that's a very, very good place. So
I'm just laughing because it'd make it a venue number 163, I reckon,
well,
Hole Punch.
We joked ultimately that they're going to end up housing them in Horsham, didn't we? And they're going to have to drive them for 6 hours.
No horse deserves that.
I think that started as a joke. It might end up being the solution. They just keep getting further away. Hole Punch, thank you for that rumour. We're giving away the SMEG blend very, very shortly, thanks to Debney Distributors. If you're building or renovating, your first choice should be checking them out. Taste the difference with SMEG. Should we do a couple of Ken Hinkley texts?
Yeah, there's quite a few here. Not exactly being sort of overly burdened with hooray messages from Port supporters. One here, though, from Jared says, and this is in relation to Joe's call earlier, Joe very animated about the wisdom or otherwise of re-signing Ken before finals. Jared says, maybe Joe could coach Port. His mouth's big enough. Give me a break. What's Ken done wrong? But then Quentin says, I'm very happy about Ken signing. It means he's not coming to the Suns. That's from Quentin, who's our resident Gold Coast supporter. And a few smug ones like these from Andy and Roseworthy saying, on Ken Hinkley, all I can say is I'm a Crows fan, and yes, I'm loving this. They should re-sign him for another 10 years.
There's a good long text that I'll just cut out the back end of, which is really, I think, summarises Port fans' concerns with the news. And it says, it's crazy to think the club would be extending him prior to seeing how this season plays out, especially given our terrible long-term extension of Hinkley in 2017 and was clearly too early and a huge failure of the board. Fans aren't saying don't do it. They're saying don't do it before finals, which runs directly counter to the on-record statement of David Koch.
Well, if Port win the flag or make the grand final, I reckon if Port make the grand final, because the criticism has been, look, we've never gone beyond a prelim. What is it, 3 they've lost? So the criticism will be, well, we've gone one better. Stick with us. Next year we'll go the extra step. So you re-sign him then. But surely just teasing out what Koshy said, though, because one listener says, I haven't read into it absolutely that he was saying we'll re-sign Ken. But logic would tell you that a club is not going to make an announcement right on the eve of finals. Well, the good news is we're getting rid of the coach.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Because it changes the whole dynamic. So what are you going to? Is he interim coach, caretaker coach for the finals?
It's not going to be that. He's being re-signed.
Yeah, he's been re-signed.
All right, let's have a quick look at the fuel situation, then go behind closed doors. All South Aussies can find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free RAA app. Here are the cheap spots. The Southern Cross Grange Road, Fulham Gardens, $1.82.9. The OTR Victor Harbour Road Mount Compass, $1.89.9. The United Main North Road Paracas at $1.98.5. The Mogas McGill Road McGill, $1.98.9. And the cheapest diesel, the Liberty South Road Clarence Gardens at $1.95.5.
This Smeg blender looks excellent.
Yes, we'll give that away in a sec. Let's go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight, Distribution, Warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
And welcome back to 5AA Breakfast, and David Penberthy, welcome back to you too.
Yeah, g'day Will, how you going?
Oh, really well, David.
Can't touch this.
Today the show, a scary incident for passengers on board flight QF1974. Took off from Adelaide for Canberra yesterday, and 10 minutes into the flight, fumes were detected in the cabin. The masks dropped down.
Far out.
And they landed back in Adelaide safely.
So it was a 10-minute flight?
Yeah, they were 10 minutes in when fumes were detected.
So 10 minutes into the flight, then they came back?
That's right.
So it's a 10-minute flight. They took off, then they turned around and come back?
Yeah, that's right. And a combustible situation. They had to sit on the tarmac with all the fire engines going round.
So where were they? If it's a 10-minute flight, were they flying out over the Gulf?
Well, I think so, yes. Yeah, our resident pilot, Sam Daddo, who's also our producer, said yes.
Okay.
Although I think that's just him trying to move us onto a different subject.
So flying over the Gulf for 10 minutes, then turning around over the Gulf?
I would say so, yeah.
Obviously, I need to know exactly where they were before I can give a considered commentary on this particular incident.
Well, I haven't seen the flight radar, but...
Yeah, so you'd go out over the Gulf, then you'd smell the fumes, then you'd chuck a Yui, and then come back to Adelaide. I reckon that's how to go.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, you'd go out, chuck a Yui, and come back across the eastern states.
You were just over the Gulf. How did you get to the eastern states, David?
Well, I'm not a pilot, but I am now trying to think of funny lines from flying high.
And also today, it's a year ago that we woke up to the news that Olivia Newton-John had died. It's hard to believe that it's 12 months ago.
Yeah, it really is. And I was talking to Jim yesterday about the Australia-Denmark game in the Men's World Cup, and I said it was a couple of years ago, and he said, what are you talking about? It was in December.
Oh, yeah.
And I reckon COVID did something really weird to our sense of time and distance and dates. You know, all those things that are really just old age creeping up on us, and it's really convenient now just to blame COVID instead.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the eastern states being just near the Gulf.
Yeah.
Bloody COVID.
Hey, an update for you on the O-Bahn. Adelaide Metro just put out some advice. Service is resuming, and that was in relation to that earlier alleged drunk driver who drove onto the tracks and stuffed things up for everyone this morning. Sue from Christie's Beach has won the Harry Potter tickets for her contribution to a conversation about BYO food, albeit she spoke about BYO drinks at the footy. And Folder has won... this morning, the blender, thanks to the great people at Debney Distributors. Check them out and all the great Smeg products.
Council's weighing bins.
Council's weighing bins.
Could it happen here?
That was not particularly popular. Matt Pantelis is coming up. We'll catch you tomorrow from 6.
How easily could you save hundreds off your energy bills? That easy. Switch out your gas or electric hot water system for an energy-efficient heat pump with EcoVantage. Then sit back